Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass, live and in living color, here with you on Grande's Graveyard. And welcome, everyone. Welcome to the new year. Yes, 2023. It is here. It is now. It is Grande's Graveyard. Another goddamn year of Grande's Graveyard. And I decided to kick off the show this year with a first time ever show, and a show that I dare to say I do never think this has been done before. I don't think anyone has ever done this show concept, tried this show concept before. So it could end up being a fiery disaster, but it also could wind up being a show that gets ripped off a ton by a ton of people. And I'm kind of excited to give this one a whirl. This is something I came up completely with on my own. And I'm hoping people like the format of this. This was tough to format too, right? Because it's not the standard, oh, I review something or I look back on something or I dial in on a spotlight on an actor. This is something that's completely different. And it's going to be the history of January horror movies from the year of my birth to present day. I had to narrow it down to some kind of, format here, some kind of time cutoff, because if I had done all time, I mean, I would have to make it like an 8-part episode. We'd have to do like an 8-part Netflix miniseries, and I'm not trying to do that because I have other things to do. Next week, Friday the 13th celebration live on Grande's Graveyard, so we'll be doing a live fan commentary with a very special guest, but we've got a bunch of people in the house. Miss Carter is here. Ciao, Grande and friends. Welcome, Miss C. Ciao to you too. AJ is here. Hey, all. What's going on, good brother AJ? Aiden Baver's in the house. Hello, everyone. Mateo is here. Ciao Grande and all the graveyard. Welcome, my friend. My guest from last week. I'm ripping it off tomorrow. Hey, man, I hope I get my rip-offs. I hope I get my rip-offs and people like that. Speaking of somebody who just gave away some awesome Blu-rays, and your boy won not one but two of them, Neon Black Reviews is in the house. I think it's a fantastic idea. Yeah, I'm really excited. I've got a huge list to get to. And I'm really excited to do this here tonight. So I appreciate y'all being in here. Appreciate y'all being in the house. We got Mr. Dan in horror. What's up, Grande? What's up, Mr. Dan? Hope all is well with you, my friend. Happy New Year to all of you, of course. And yeah, no, Slasher Fred says, are you going to be doing a fan comment to the original Friday the 13th? So right now, the plan is my guest and I are either going to decide on it or we're going to do a poll on the page. So if we do a poll, I'm going to make sure Fridays 1 through 3 and 5 through 8 and the remake are all on that poll. We're not going to do 4 because I've done one for 4 already. So we're going to do a commentary. Either we're going to let you guys vote on which one, or Nate and I are just going to, oh, well, I already gave it away who it's going to be. But my guest and I are going to vote on what it's going to be. So, one or the other. I'm going to make my decision over the weekend at some point. So if you see that poll, feel free. I'll even do a video to let you guys know to vote or whatever the hell. But tonight, it's a first time ever on Grande's Graveyard. So everyone, cheers to you. Cheers to a safe, happy, healthy weekend. I got my Barks root beer. Anybody else root beer drinkers here? Any root beer fans in the house? This is the all-time greatest root beer in my humble opinion. I absolutely love it. Cheers. Oh, man, only the best. You got to love Barks root beer. And speaking of Barks root beer, I see Ryan Snyder's in the house. What's up, brother? What's up, man? How Paul's all with you? I know he was show prepping today with a January horror movie entitled The Bye-Bye Man, which we will get to. We're going to go in order here, which is going to be a lot of fun. I love talking about the first Friday 13th. Well, it very well could be one of those 4. I did part 4 with Corey, the only other Friday 13th commentary I did. So I definitely didn't want to do that one because we've already done it. I would love to do part 5, but it's probably going to be up to my guest or you guys, one or the other. Barks root beer is good stuff. I agree. Completely love it. Also, one more thing. Brand new t-shirt. Yes, Soledad Miranda, the blood queen of Spanish exploitation horror. Got to be rocking Soledad. So rest in peace, Miss Soledad Miranda. This one's dedicated to you, babe. So, all right, here's what we got here. We've got 40 titles on this list. 40 titles. I'm going to run through them from the 1996 release date all the way up to a movie that got released right today. Yes, I'm talking about Megan. We're leaving from 1996 all the way to tonight, Megan, and the January horror releases that came out between now and then. And I see one more here. I just love how in the Bible Man they say he will make you see things that aren't real, then proceed to believe everything they see for the rest of the movie. Well, the Bye-Bye Man is holy shit. That's a true January horror reputized movie. Every time I hear Bye Bye Man, I think of the NSYNC song. Oh my God, they should have had that in there somewhere, right? That should have definitely been in there. But I guess I can give a little bit of a background before I get into the list of 40 January horror movies. Why exactly does January horror get the rep that it gets? It seems every single year we get a January themed horror movie. Oh, it's a January horror movie. Oh no, this has bad reputation. Well, why? Why does it have a bad reputation? That's the question that a lot of people that aren't so hip to the horror genre, aren't so hip to the things that get released in January. That's probably the question that they're asking. And the reason for that is this: January is considered a dump month. What do I mean by that? December is arguably the biggest month for movies, right? You got July and December. Those are the two biggies. July, summer blockbuster. Movies like Jurassic Park came out in July. And then we look at this past December, right? You have all the Oscar bait movies, whether it be The Whale, whether it be Babylon. You have the Avatar movie that came out and grossed $1.4 billion and counting. It's still going up. These are Oscar contenders, December, because this is the last month that we can make a film that's qualified for the 2022 year that can be qualified then again for the February aired Oscars. So what happens to the movies that come out in January? Oh, well, the Academy will never remember the movies that come out in January. Why the hell would they remember those? It's so long ago. They have to pretty much be memorable for over a year. Thus why January is a dump month. And I have this little thing right here. Releases during these times primarily include films that you would have seen released other times of the year had they performed better at test screenings, had they been films with more prominent stars and actors or actresses, or if they are genre films, aka if they're particularly horror movies, movies that can't be easily marketed, movies that have a low risk / high reward for the month that they're released in, right? So a lot of these movies are made on a cheap, just hoping to make a small profit in order to either break even or to kind of steal a little bit of a profit. So I thought that was kind of interesting here. Need a January / New Year's Eve slasher type movie where there is New Year's Evil, but I don't know. Maybe that's better. And Terror Train is kind of a New Year's horror movie. ATM is a New Year's slasher horror movie, which that's a fucking piece of shit. That might be worse than any movie on this list that we talk about here tonight. I've always thought that they just assume everyone has spent a lot of money for the holidays and they won't see as many films after, so they would dump what they don't think would do well anyways. That's definitely part of it. Think about it. After the holidays, people are licking their wounds, right? From all of the things for the family they bought gifts for the friends they bought gifts for. January is just a down month anyway. It's not a good month for business. It's just not, no matter what you're doing. So the idea from the mentality of the studios, well, if we released Megan in July, it's probably not going to do good. However, if we release Megan now, it's the only show in town other than stuff that's been playing for weeks like Avatar. Maybe, just maybe, Megan will make a profit. And I dare to say I'll make this prediction. The night of Megan's release, I bet you that movie's going to be a big hit. Whether it gets good reviews or bad reviews, they do not care. The idea is to make a profit. This is really more the business side of horror movies, of cinema in general. And that's something that I thought was quite interesting. And that's why we're going to be doing this January horror list, if you will. We got 40 films. I'm going to run through them, whether I like them, the good, the bad, the ugly, what I think of them, what they did, what they had as a budget. So what they budgeted versus what they grossed worldwide. We have movies that made $100 million profits. We have movies that lost nearly $100 million. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you're all ready. And if you have seen some of these films, feel free to comment, because we're kicking off with one that I bet nobody at all would think would be on this goddamn list. And it's a movie from the year January of 1996. This is From Dusk Till Dawn. Yes, From Dusk Till Dawn was released January the 19th of 1996. Grossed about $59 million worldwide against a budget of around $19 million. Now, it's weird to start such a list like this off with a movie that I consider to be one of the all-time great vampire movies. And it's astounding to me when you think back to the time period this was. Okay, so this was shot in and around early to mid 1995, gets released January of 1996. This movie has Quentin Tarantino writing, starring, Robert Rodriguez directing, George Clooney starring, Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, All-star cast. Danny Trejo, Salma Hayek in the sexy, voluptuous dance in the fucking titty twister. This was dumped in January of 1996. And it's not one of those things where you could say, well, Grande, who was Quentin Tarantino at that time? Let me tell you who the hell QT was at that time. He had made a little film called The Reservoir Dogs in 92. Then he made a movie that changed cinema forever in 1994 in Pulp Fiction. How in the hell did this get dumped in January? Like, I really want to know the answer to that. Now, I believe this was a Dimension Films release, so the Weinsteins were probably behind this. I don't know if it was their call. I am not sure whose call this was, but I would love to know why. And the only thing I could think of is this. You have all of that talent. You have all of that, prestige. You're Robert Rodriguez, a QT, George Clooney, Harvey Keitel. You have all of those people, but it's not what you think it is. It's one of those movies when it starts the first half hour, you would not even really think it's going to become a vampire film in a bar with a bunch of crazy, special makeup effects and Tom Savini with the fucking gun, dick gun. I mean, you would never think that, but that's what the movie becomes. My thought is that when they screen tested this, people probably thought, wow, like I liked where this movie started, but then it became this horror movie about vampires. Who would go see this? How do we market this? And I will say this, while I disagree with those people, and I think this should have been released at a time where it could have been a monster hit. Granted, it wasn't a flop or anything. It still grossed 59 against 19. That's still a pretty decent sized hit. But the only thing is, you got to wonder what could it have done more? I think so. I think this could have been a monster hit. I think this could have been a $100 million movie if promoted right. But the question is, did they know how to promote this at the time? Was Quentin Tarantino's name in their minds not enough to sell this in any other month but the dump month of January of 1996? I find it quite interesting to see, and I really wonder whose call that was. Because it's quite a shocker. But let's go to comments here. What the hell from Dust Till It did. It did come out in January. And later that year, of course, people remember Scream came out in December of 1996 and became like one of the biggest hits of that, era of that time, probably of the decade of the 1990s. That was the biggest horror movie sleeper hit was Scream. It comes out December 20th of that same year. But it's just wild to me that From Dusk Till Dawn was sort of dumped in January. And my only guess can be is they didn't know how to market it. They probably thought, oh, all these names are great, but how do we sell a vampire film? And I think maybe the genre, it being a genre film, probably scared producers away, probably scared studios away. I don't know. I really don't know what happened here, but it's quite interesting when you sit down and start thinking about it. I would say I agree with that. It is a B movie masterpiece. Maybe they thought it was just that. Maybe somebody said, hey, this is a B movie. We're not going to give this a big release. We're not going to put this up against our big blockbusters of 1996, whatever they may have been. They probably thought it wouldn't be able to compete. But who knows? All these years later, I still love From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm a huge fan of From Dusk Till Dawn. It just kind of it goes to make you wonder, like, what the hell, man? What were they thinking? Of course, Salma Hayek in that scene. And I will say this too, and I don't know if people are familiar with the series From Dusk Till Dawn. The actress they got to replace Salma Hayek, Isa Gonzalez. Wow, that's a good-looking woman. Holy shit! Just when you thought Salma Hayek, like, it can't get any hotter, then you see Isa Gonzalez, and you're like, holy shit, man. That is unreal. They hit gold twice. What makes From Dusk Till Dawn such a great movie is that it starts out like a crime film. You have these two criminal brothers on a rampage, but then it turns into a horror movie. Exactly. And I think maybe that threw reviewers, that threw critics, right? Because if I'm a snobby critic and it starts off one movie and then bam, you switch gears and it's B horror movie fun in a bar with vampires and gore splattering and the crosses and holy water and all these things, maybe they got cold feet. Maybe somebody just said, you know what? Dump it. How the hell do you promote this movie? This is a vampire movie with fucking George Clooney in it. It's going to bomb. Isn't it going to bomb? Maybe they thought it. I don't know. I don't know what they thought, but it's definitely something to think about. Anthony is here. Fever Dreamland Theater. Welcome, my friend. Oh, you got to love the dance scene, baby. It's a classic. Oh, of course. Cheech Marin, baby. Cheech and Chong fame. That dance scene is the sexiest scene ever put to film. I mean, I'd have to. That or Death Proof. I love the Vanessa Ferlito lap dance in Death Proof. That's a classic. This movie also had the late John Saxon. Yes, brief role, but John Saxon is in there. Let's see. I love the theme song, She's Just Killing Me by ZZ Top. That whole soundtrack is great. Tarantino is a degenerate in that movie. Yeah, no, he's crazy with the teeth chattering and It's a great movie. I would say this. I think it's to this day George Clooney's best role. Like I think George Clooney was born to play that part. I thought George Clooney just hit a home run in that role as Seth Gecko. I thought he was wonderful. Film did decent at the box office, spawned 2 direct-to-video sequels and a TV show that lasted 3 seasons. Not bad. No, it's not bad, but think about this. Would those sequels have been direct to DVD? Like, think about it. Think about how much this affects dropping it in January. Yeah, it made a profit. It's not a bomb by any means, but think about what could it have made. If this movie grosses $100 million and gets released in July, From Dusk Till Dawn 2, I guarantee you is not going direct to video. It's not. It would have been in a theater. It would have had a more modest budget. It would have had a lot more things to deal with here. You maybe would have gotten a Tarantino to executive produce it, or Robert Rodriguez to come back and direct. Who knows what Texas Blood Money could have been with that proper money and backing behind it. It kind of makes you wonder. I know it did go on to, inspire all these things. I would say that speaks more to the quality of this film as opposed to the money that it made, because it didn't make enough of a profit to make a theatrical sequel, which is something to think about. From Dusk Till Dawn arguably has the best soundtrack for a vampire film. I would agree with that. And Isa Gonzalez is an incredibly beautiful woman. I would agree with that. That is a top shelf woman right there. But let's move on into our next one. Like I said, we're going to go year by year. Some of these years had more than one. From 1996, that was really the only one of note. And like I said, there will be years where you had nothing. There was a couple years where we didn't have anything really full of note. And then you have years where there was 2 or 3 that were worth note. But let's move on to the next year of the year 1997. This one came out January the 10th of that year. This is The Relic. The Relic, which grossed about 34 to 40 million worldwide, depending on the sources. Granted, I did a lot of show research for this. Some sources said 34, others said 40. So I said 34 to 40 million, somewhere in there. So around $37.5 million worldwide this grossed against a budget of $60 million. Yes, this is our first flop on the list. The Relic, which I don't know if people really remember this movie. The Relic is basically an old school monster movie which takes place in the Chicago Museum of Natural History. And I always was a big fan of this. I really liked this movie. You have, of course, Tom Sizemore. You have, I think, Penelope Ann Miller is her name. I always remember her from Kindergarten Cop. You also have the principal from Kindergarten Cop is the lady who runs the museum, which I thought was quite funny. I like The Relic. I think it's a good little monster movie. But it's crazy that this movie was of course made for $60 million budget, and at best it grossed back 40. So this was quite a big bomb for the cinemas at the times. I believe this was directed by the same director who did 2010, The First Contact. I forget the guy's name, but he directed this. And for the most part, I like his films, but I see somebody down here, Ben Grimm, welcome to the show, my friend. I would agree it's a little too dark. And I know that he defended it. I actually watched an interview with him in preparation for the show. He defended the way he lit the film because it's all natural lighting. He didn't want to add anything to the, film to make it look, I guess prosthetic or not realistic, but it really hurts the film. There's times in this movie where you cannot tell what's going on. It's similar to Alien versus Predator Requiem. It's very similar in that vein where some of the stuff that you can make out and see is good, but there's a lot of it that you can't. And I do think that was a poor choice on the director's behalf. I get that you want to be authentic. I get that you want the natural lighting. I get that you're trying to be a Stanley Kubrick and a Barry Lyndon, but you're not Stanley Kubrick. This is not Barry Lyndon. This is a monster movie in the Museum of Natural History in Chicago. Maybe, just maybe, you should have lit the movie right. With that being said, I like some of the performances. Tom Sizemore does a good job in the movie. I think the overall, the makeup effects, creature effects are good. It's a lot of CGI, but there's also a lot of practical effects. It's basically a monster movie where the monster will rip your head off and it wants to have your, I think, hypothalamus gland, because it needs the hormones to keep growing and growing. And by the end, the monster is this giant behemoth of a thing that Penelope Ann Miller must take on. I kind of always like The Relic. I think it's a good movie. Is it a movie where $20 million bomb? I mean, probably more than that, right? Because also one thing that we have to get straight here. There are probably some people that will say, oh, it lost $20 million. It probably lost way more than that, because $60 million budget, that's the budget they had to make the film. That has nothing to do with marketing money. Nothing to do with marketing money. And it also has nothing to do with the profit that the theaters are getting in return, right? The theater takes some of the profit away from whatever the movie grosses. So it depends on what the movie grosses worldwide. The theater's getting a chunk of that. There was marketing that went into that. So in that thing, you know, it may have lost way more than just 20 million. That's 40 million tops. There's some sources that say 33.9 million. So I don't know. This was a weird one to get an exact number on. I couldn't quite find that exact number. So I estimated 34 to 40 million. This was a huge bomb, and it's kind of a shame. Monster movies just don't draw like they used to. Now, granted, did this have to be a $60 million movie? I don't think so. I don't like, okay, there's no real star in the movie that would cost that much money. Did they really spend that much on the creature, the effects? If so, $60 million, that's a lot to spend. I know they spent a shit ton of money, an undisclosed seven-figure amount to shoot in the museum itself. So 7 million figure, you're talking anywhere between 1 million to 999,000. Well, 9,999,000. That's anywhere in that ballpark they paid just to shoot in the museum. So I'm guessing a huge chunk of the budget went right there. About, 1/6 to 1/5 of the budget went right there just into shooting in that on that location. It costs a lot of money, man. Sometimes that costs a lot of money. And I think this is one of those films that maybe they would have been better off doing a set. Now, granted, I like that it's shot in a museum. You could tell it's the real deal, Holyfield. But at the same time, I mean, this was a huge bomb, and it's kind of a shame to say so. This is not like Arnold Schwarzenegger was starring in it, and a lot of that money and the budget went to him. No, Tom Sizemore is an affordable actor. Penelope Ann Miller is an actress that most people don't even know. So you have to kind of look and you have to kind of think about it. A lot of the money probably went into filming this movie, special makeup effects, all of that stuff. And man, it added up at the end of the day. So that's kind of is what it is. Let's get back to comments. Also, the Wizard of Visual Effects, Tom Savini, was in it with the gun instead of his pee-pee. I know what you're talking about. I like From Dusk Till Dawn too. It's nowhere near the original, but for a direct-to-video sequel, it was fun. Totally, I just think it's a shame that it had to be a direct-to-video sequel. Imagine they gave him a real budget and gave him, a theatrical run. It would have been very interesting. Maybe you would have had a huge franchise on your hands, but instead, the original was dumped in January. That's what happens. The Relic was too dark to watch. I agree. I agree completely with you, Ben. Totally agree. Don't remember The Relic. Been a long time since I've seen it. I think it's a good one. I think it's worth a watch. Relic was good. I wish the lighting was better. I agree. I do. I agree. The creature looked cool as hell. I thought it was original, cool design. I thought the idea of this monster movie in a museum and this whole kind of display is on air. And then basically the monster comes off and picks off all these people in gory, gratuitous ways. I thought it was a good idea for a film. Yeah, marketing and other costs aren't ever included in how well a movie does or doesn't do. Exactly. So you have to kind of say, oh, well, yeah, it lost $20 million. Yeah, it probably lost way more than that, too, because marketing is a lot of your film, right? It's a big, big chunk. Megan is going to have to rely to overcome how much they've spent on marketing. Oh, sure, totally. But hey, look at a movie like Smile. And I know that's not January horror, but look at all the promos and marketing they did for that. They had people sit behind home plate of a Major League Baseball game and smile just like to promote the movie. That, you know how much one of those seats costs to sit behind home plate? It's crazy. These people buying Yankee tickets behind home plate. Aaron Judge is chasing history, and they got these motherfuckers promoting a movie behind home plate. That seat's $3 to $5 grand. $3 to $5 grand just for the seat, and then they got to pay that bitch to sit there and smile the whole time. Crazy what they'll do to go to market a film. But hey, sometimes it pays off, and Smile was a big, big hit. And dare I say it, I think fucking Megan's going to be a big hit. There's nothing else right now out to go against it that's new, right? Avatar's been out for a few weeks. The Whale's been out for a few weeks. Babylon's been out for a few weeks. There's nothing really coming out this week other than it. So it has no competition. That's what they did with Scream last year. Anyone who saw that Scream movie, what was up against it? Scream 2022 was January horror. We will get there. But yeah, it played it safe and it made its money. Penelope Ann Miller was fond of The Relic, and I found that cool. That's cool too. I definitely think that's cool. I really like her. I think she's cool. But let's move on into the following year. This is one I'll kind of gloss over. Some of these I'll gloss over. Some of them I'll go more in depth on. This is from the year 1998, came out January the 23rd. This is Phantoms. Yes, Phantoms, which grossed about $5.6 million worldwide. Could not find the exact budget that this was made for. But of course, this was a classic Dean Koontz short story that they adapted into a film. I believe this was Miramax. I believe this was a Ben Affleck joint. Probably the only horror movie that stars Ben Affleck, Rose McGowan, Liev Schreiber. They promoted this like Scream, right? Like they put everybody in the black t-shirts on the cover. Everyone's looking at you. It's a ripoff of the Scream poster. They have phantoms and bright, black and green, almost like the glow in the dark colors to kind of promote this film. And that's what they basically tried to sell this as. Now it made $5.6 million worldwide. And my guess is it probably had a budget from anywhere between 5 to 10. I would guess that this was a movie that did not make any kind of a profit. Now, I don't know exactly what the budget was, so don't hold me to it. But my guess is $5.6 million. It didn't set the world on fire either. It doesn't look like a cheap film. So my guess is they lost a little bit here. Not a movie I've seen in a long time, so it's not one I can really comment on. I do know it was directed by, I believe, Joe Chappelle, who had done, of course, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. He was brought in to try to save Hellraiser 4 Revelations, which is a huge piece of shit, and I hate it. But this is another horror movie that he kind of had his fingers in at this time. This was Phantoms from 1998, which is a movie that, again, I haven't seen it in a long time, so I can't really say one way or the other. But it's a movie that kind of came and went like a fart in the wind. Not many people remember it, although I see some comments. It seems like some of you guys liked it. Megan recently took over the Chargers halftime show to have the girls dressed up as Megan do the dance from the trailer. I fucking saw that. Absolutely wild. So you have football halftime shows doing Megan. You had professional Major League Baseball games, playoff games, where there were people smiling behind a plate to promote Smile. But I think that's brilliant. I think it's a really brilliant, because I saw that and wasn't going to see Smile. I saw that and went, that's fucking brilliant. I'm going to go see this. I like the marketing ploy. Marketing is so fun to look into when you look at a horror movie, whether it's good or bad. And I promise we're going to get into a movie that came out in the year 2012 that grossed over $100 million, and its marketing campaign, it's wild how they ended up grossing $100 million. We'll get there though. Ben Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo. Yes, Jay and Silent Bob, hell yeah. Phantoms by Dean Koontz was pretty good. I definitely would have to give it another watch, to be perfectly honest. But all Ben Affleck movies are horror movies. I agree. I hate Ben Affleck. I think he's a terrible actor. He's the worst. I'm glad we're on the same page with that, Mateo, because a lot of people love him. I bet people go, "Oh, Affleck's the best Batman." I'm like, you're goddamn crazy. I would say he's the worst. It's him or Clooney. Another movie that came out in January of 1998 was a movie called Deep Rising that involved a cruise ship and a creature on a rampage. Okay, interesting. See, when my research, that's not one I came into contact with. So that's another one where, maybe it could have just been of note on this list. I like the film. It served as a huge influence on Silent Hill. Okay, that's pretty cool. And Silent Hill is an awesome video game series, and of course it became film. Another one we're going to gloss over here. This is from the year 1999, and it's not the one you're thinking of. No, this is a movie that came out January the 17th of 1999. This is In Dreams. Yes, starring Annette Bening and Robert Downey Jr. Yes, in a psychological horror film. I know probably a lot of people have not heard of this one, and there might just be a reason. This movie had a $30 million budget and grossed $12 million worldwide. Holy shit, this was a bomb. In Dreams was a bomb. And I know probably the one you're all thinking of, which was January of 1999, was a little movie called The Sixth Sense. I understand that movie made a lot of money. It's probably one I should have talked about on the show. I've always considered The Sixth Sense to be more of a thriller. That's just me, though. Like, that's the reason I skipped over it. We're going to get on later in the show. There's a little movie called Split that came out in January. That grossed a few $100 million. Another one where I consider that more thriller. So that's why I'm not going to get into that. Because here's the thing with thriller versus horror, right? I really believe Split grossed so much money because most of the people that went to go see it are not true diehard horror fans like we are. And what do I mean by that? I think there is two groups of people. I think there are people that like thrillers. I think there are people that like horror, but I think people that like horror and thrillers together. But I do think that people that like thrillers are not necessarily going to go see every horror movie. And that's why I think Split, you take those people out of the equation, those people are not going to see a Megan. Those people are not going to see a Smile. They are definitely going to go see Split because multiple personalities, that's a real thing. Let me go see that. Holy shit. That's really the demographic I think that movie draws, as opposed to a horror film. That's why some thrillers will be left off here, and I know that'll piss people off. But to me, it's a different demographic. That's not horror 101. It has elements, but it's still, I think, to its core, a thriller. That's just my 2 cents on that. The book Phantoms is pretty good. I didn't care for the movie. Okay, The Sixth Sense was known for its plot twist thought out of the movie. It tricks you into thinking the main character of Malcolm Crowe survived the gunshot wound. Of course, yes, that's the big twist in that movie. And that was really the big hit of January of 1999 was that movie. But here you also had that movie In Dreams from the year 1999, January the 17th. Like I said, had a $30 million budget, grossed $12 million. It's a movie largely forgotten. And Robert Downey Jr. being the heel in a horror movie, it kind of makes me want to see it. I also adore Annette Bening. I really like Annette Bening. So it's a movie that I actually added to the watch list. I did not get around to seeing it, but it seems like a lot of people didn't get around to seeing it. So it's kind of a shame. This is one, like I said, some of these we'll gloss over because we've got 40 of these, so we can't spend all day on all of them. But this one to kind of note here, and one that I thought was quite interesting because I was like, oh man, like that's two really good actors, and that's quite a lot of money that they lost on this movie. $30 million fucking dollars. That's wild. But coming up next, you're probably wondering, of all 40 of these movies, which one was the biggest bomb? Which one lost the most money? And we are here, right off the bat. It's funny. The one that made the most money is towards the end. The one that lost the most money is right here and now. This is from the year 2000. This was Supernova. Yes, Supernova, which came out January the 15th of the year 2000, grossed $14 million against a budget of $90 million. Holy shit. I will repeat for those who are hard of hearing. $14 million worldwide grossed against a budget of $90 million fucking dollars. Without a doubt, the biggest box office bomb on this entire list is Supernova. And this has a crazy, crazy story behind it. Let me get to a couple comments first. I can see why The Sixth Sense is considered horror, but you're right, it's more of a thriller than anything else. I agree with that completely. I was never shocked about the twist of The Sixth Sense. I predicted what it would be after the opening. Still a good movie, in my opinion. Totally. I'd never seen Supernova. I guess I won't now. I watched this last night out of curiosity because I was like, I want to make sure I watch the one that made the most money. I want to make sure I watch the one that made the least money. This was the one that made the least money. And the story behind the scenes of this is absolutely wild. So this movie stars James Spader, Angela Bassett, Robin Tunney, fucking Lou Diamond Phillips. You have some decent actors in there. And the whole idea was they brought in Walter Hill, and he wanted to make kind of a dark, atmospheric space horror film in similar vein to Alien, in similar vein to an Event Horizon, definitely in the ballpark of a movie like that. That was the goal of what they were trying to do. But what happened was the studio kept dabbling their fingers in this thing, and what happened is, unfortunately, Walter Hill, after a test screening, said, I don't want any touch of this. I don't want any part of this. I'm gone. I'm fucking leaving. Go fuck yourselves. Good luck. Walter Hill walks out the door. They bring in Jack Shoulder of The Hidden fame, of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 fame. He was a longtime editor, films like The Burning. You know, Jack Shoulder's great. We love Jack Shoulder. They brought in Jack Shoulder to try to add some extended footage. So they did reshoots with Jack Shoulder. Those test screenings went slightly better. Now, what happened was after that, they said, what if we brought in an editor to try to edit Jack Shoulder's version and Walter Hill's version into one ultimate version? Who the fuck did they call? None other than the director of The Godfather himself, Mr. Francis Ford fucking Coppola, gets the call on the telephone to come in and try to re-edit this movie, two cuts together, to make one fucking giant Supernova movie. $90 million, you could see where it went. Reshoots here, reshoots there. Bring in the guy that directed The Godfather. Have him be the editor. Oh, also, we have to pay our actors more because we want nudity scenes. Yes, apparently, history has it that they asked Robin Tunney to show her yits in this film, and she didn't want to do it. And they paid her extra to show her yits in this movie. So if there's anything positive that came out of this $90 million bomb, it's fucking Robin Tunney's yits, because they were legits. And easily the best part of this movie. But the rest of it, I mean, quite bad. It's quite a mess of a film, in my humble opinion. I think some of the casting decisions are really bad. I will say this, James Spader's great. James Spader, his performance belongs in a better movie. But it's crazy to me how much went wrong here. Like, how does this much go wrong? You went from fucking Walter Hill to Jack Shoulder to Francis Ford Coppola, and to the end, all three of them, none of them wanted their name on it. So they couldn't do Alan Smithy because Alan Smithy, Burn, Hollywood Burn comes out in 97. You can't use Alan Smithy anymore. They used a separate alias. So none of the three of them took credit for this fucking piece of shit movie that gets dumped in January of the new millennium, the first horror movie of the 21st century, and it's this piece of shit. Wild. Absolutely wild. There's a couple more things I got to get to here because it's the story of how bad the behind the scenes were are better than the movie itself. Now, Angela Bassett and James Spader have a zero gravity sex scene in the film. Angela Bassett apparently was not comfortable with doing this, and neither was James Spader. So what they did, and I shit you not, this is a true story. If you do not believe me, look it up. They took Robin Tunney. They took Robin Tunney and did like CGI to make Robin Tunney look black, like Angela Bassett. And they fucking changed this woman's color to pass her off as Angela Bassett in the sex scene with James Spader, the zero gravity sex scene. That's Robin Tunney, CGI'd black. I shit you not. That's what they did. Now, who made that call? I really think it was Francis Ford Coppola. Because if he's editing that shit together, what the fuck? That's who changed the CGI. That's who added the post special effects. It was fucking Francis Ford Coppola. This is fucking crazy. This has got to be one of the all-time craziest bombs. $76 million plus went down the fucking drain here. Probably close to $100 million because I don't know what they spent to market this. I don't know what they did, but holy fucking shit. This was a huge bomb. And it's one I just had to mention on here tonight, and I wanted to give it its screen presence because it was the biggest ever January horror movie box office bomb. So it lost about 76 million on paper, probably lost more because, like I said, you have to go into marketing, stuff like that. I don't know. Theater costs, it grossed $14 million back. So this was a monumental bomb that nobody wanted their fucking fingers on. So crazy, crazy stuff here. I was kind of glad to learn about this. And when I watched it, it made perfect sense because I was like, this is a fucking mess. I could see this was three directors, and it's a shame because you do have James Spader. I really like James Spader, and I like Angela Bassett. But man, Robin Tunney has nothing to do. They just have Robin Tunney in there as an airhead who gets naked and has sex with Lou Diamond Phillips, has sex with the villain, and then dies. That's her character. And you could have done better. I love Robin Tunney. I think Robin Tunney's a good talent, man. But it's a shame. But I will say, I mean, if there's one positive, I've never seen Supernova. I guess I won't now. It lost a lot of money. That's a huge one. The Monkey is in the house. What year did Supernova come out? January of 2000. The very first horror movie of the 21st century. And boy, it kicked us off into a bunch of shit. They'll never learn, man. And they kept trying to save it. Like they kept trying to throw money at this to save it. Fuck it. We'll bring in Francis Ford Coppola? Nobody's going to save this movie now. Nobody. It should have been shelved forever. They never should have released this. It was a horrendous movie. Yes, Angela Bassett also in fourth Critters movie. What the fuck? It took three directors. Took $90 million. It took two Robin Tunneys. It was quite a fucking bomb here. They did not learn anything from Ghost of Mars and Battlefield Earth. No, and crazy enough, Event Horizon, it gets its shit. I know a lot of people make fun of that movie. Event Horizon is Citizen Kane compared to this movie. Like you want to see this movie done right? Watch Event Horizon. It's much better than this movie. And that's saying so because Event Horizon by no means a classic movie, but it's way better than this. Like you watch those two movies back to back, I don't think you find one person that tell you Event Horizon is worse than this movie. Not even anyone, even if you hate Event Horizon, I couldn't see you putting this movie over. It's so bad. Triple M, Mernzy's in the house. Mernzy Movie Mansion. What up, Grande? Never even heard of this. Thought Supernova was a Power Man 5000 song. Well, you might not be wrong, but I had never heard of it either. But it was one that I definitely was like, holy shit, that lost crazy fucking money. I've got to get into this one. And I did all of the research on this. I was like, wow, this is something else. There was a horror comedy that came out in January of 2000 called Psycho Beach Party that paid homage to those 1950s movies. Yeah, no, that's definitely one of lesser note. There's some here where there were of lesser note. Like there, you have the After Dark Horror Fest of like 2005 or 2006. I like some of those movies, but again, they didn't come out worldwide in theaters, so I scanned over them. There's some here where I scanned over. Apparently, the budget went Supernova. Damn right it did. I like Event Horizon too. I would definitely say compared to this movie, Event Horizon's like Citizen Kane. It really, truly is. But let's move on. That was the biggest bomb of all of these movies. Let's move on to the next one here. This is from the year. So 2001 didn't have anything worth note. Right off the bat, 2001, no January horror release worth note for me that I saw that I thought I should mention on here. Here's one I'm going to gloss over from the year 2002. This came out January the 27th. This is the Mothman Prophecies. Yes, had a $32 million budget, grossed about $55.2 million worldwide. This is a movie, I'll be honest, I've never seen. That's why I'm kind of have to gloss over it. If people want to see, or have any comments on this one, comment down below. It's just a horror movie of note that was made for a modest budget of 32 and made 52. So I figured I mentioned that on here. Love the new tea. Thank you so much, man. Soledad Miranda, one of my all-time favorite actresses, the Blood Queen. Yeah. It's funny. I discovered her about maybe a year or two ago, and I just was blown away by her screen presence. Like, I don't think you've ever had fucking screen presence like that again. Like, that woman was amazing. And I'll say this too about Soledad. Her eyes were just incredible. Like, her eyes were older than the rest of her. Like, the rest of her was this beautiful, voluptuous woman, but her eyes just so beautiful and different. You get lost in there. Just like amazing. I love Soledad Miranda. To me, one of the great all-time screen presences in films, and a lot of the Jess Franco films and stuff like that. She did, of course, Westerns with Burt Reynolds and Gina Lollobrigida and people like that. But I love Soledad, and I was like, yo, Blood Queen tea, this is something I got to get. This was a birthday gift to myself, to be perfectly honest. So I'm a huge fan. Thank you. Appreciate that. Merdsy's in the house. Hell yeah. Mothman Prophecies was okay. Saw the Mothman. What a drag. I've not seen it either. I haven't seen it. So we have someone saying okay. Mateo saying it was boring as sin. It's mostly a suspense film with the shittiest Richard Gere ending ever. Wow. Okay. So we have a lot of people that's seen this fucking movie. The vampire movie Queen of the Damned, which had starred the late Alaya. I'm gonna also came out January of 02. Okay. It's been a minute, but dude, you'd actually dig Mothman Prophecies. It's got some creepy moments. Okay, so we got a fan. At least I saw Mothman, something that was about a bridge that collapsed. Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. But that was one I figured I'd gloss over because the next two I have seen, and the next two I think most people have seen. The next one from the year 2003, this came out January the 24th of 2003. This, wait for it, is Darkness Falls. Yes, Darkness Falls had a budget of $11 million, grossed $47.5 million worldwide. Holy shit. If you don't know what this movie is, I'll tell you in fucking a few words here. Killer Tooth Fairy movie. I shit you not, that's what Darkness Falls basically is. It's directed by Jonathan Liebesman, who went on to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel, The Beginning. He also would go on to do Battle Los Angeles. He's done quite a few films, Jonathan Liebesman. Now, this is one of those movies that's classic. It was going to go direct to video. I believe it was Michael Bay that got his hands on it. Yeah, it had to be Platinum Dunes that got their hands on it and said, hey, let's release this worldwide in a theater. And what they did was the old Roger Corman trick. This movie was 74 minutes long when they submitted it, and that's not feature length in worldwide release theaters. So they had to do an 11-minute credit scene. Classic old Robert Corman trick where they would elongate the credits in order to fill the feature-length runtime. Yeah, our movie's 85 minutes. Don't tell them 11 of that is credits, though. That's what they did here with Darkness Falls. And it's a movie about a killer tooth fairy. And it made $47.5 million on a budget of 11. That's crazy to me. Crazy. And it only gets crazier as we get down this list. Some of the money some of these movies made, I will never fucking understand. But this one making 47 against a budget of 11 is quite something. Quite so 47.5. I'm not even gonna, sell it short here. That's quite a bit of money. The Tooth Fairy, yes, the Tooth Fairy fucking found $47.5 million underneath its pillow when this motherfucker got released. I put it on when I need to take a shit. Never fails. This movie, okay, fair enough. Cooper Brian's in the house. Welcome, my friend. Hope all's well with you, man. Happy New Year and cheers. I'm drinking the old Barks root beer tonight. I've seen Darkness Falls, but I don't remember it at all. It's laughable to me. To me, it's a laughable horror film, although I know that it has its fans. Some people love it. Never knew that about Roger Corman. Yes, that's the old Roger Corman trick. He would love to elongate his movies like that. Oh shit, we didn't make 75 minutes. Make the credits longer. And then we have a feature length film. That's what they did. If you fucking watch this movie, the credits are 11 minutes long for a fucking killer Tooth Fairy movie. It's quite wild. Darkness Falls starred Emma Caulfield, who had played the former Vengeance Demon Anya on the series Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which that series is a lot better than this movie. I'm going through the Paranormal Activity films now, and I think they did credits trick a couple of times. They did, and we are going to have a Paranormal Activity film on this list. You stay tuned, my friend, because we will get there. Let's move on, though, into the next one here. Arguably the biggest title out of any of these. Maybe not the biggest moneymaker, but definitely the one that I would guess the most people have seen on this entire list of movies. And is from, of course, the same year. This is from January the 31st of the year 2003. This is Final Destination 2. Yes, grossed $90.4 million on a budget of $26 million. So this was a pretty big hit. I mean, $90 million worldwide is nothing to scoff at. But this is something I will say, perhaps to kind of prove what dead of a month January is for horror movies. This movie made $90.4 million worldwide. Sounds good, right? It is the lowest grossing of the Final Destination series. I find that quite bewildering because I also think while it's the lowest grossing, I think this is the best Final Destination movie. I love the first two. I think they're the best. The third one I would dare to say is the best marketed. Like they marketed that motherfucker. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing that roller coaster poster. Or I remember going to Six Flags and seeing like that promotion for that movie was out the wazoo. They promoted Final Destination 3. They did their fucking jobs right. And then with 4 and 5, I believe they did the 3D gimmick. The Final Destination was 3D, and then the Final Destination 5 was 3D. So they charged people more money to go in for the theaters. So that's quite interesting. So maybe, just maybe, that's why those ones did better. But hey, man, $90.4 million is nothing to scoff at, especially in the month of January. And Final Destination 2, I think, is one of the all-time great horror movie sequels, and a rare sequel that I would say is better than the original. I always liked the second one. That the whole sequence on the highway, the pile-up, is one of the most amazing sequences in film history. It's quite something. And it was a scene where I sat back and I said, let me not be cynical like a lot of people may think. This is how you use CGI right. You used it quick, you used it sparingly, you used it smart. There's no way you could have had the log bounce the right way to take the guy's head off. UCG, it's great there. But motorcycle crashing into Eugene, practical. The plane of glass crushing that kid, practical. A lot of the practicality death scenes in this are mixed so well with the CGI. To me, it's the best of both worlds, of the old school meeting the new school here. And to me, Final Destination 2 is arguably the best movie on this list. I mean, I love Final Destination 2. I think it's fantastic. And it's a movie that everybody remembers because think about it. Roller coaster. Okay, I've been on a roller coaster hundreds of times in my life. There's never a worry that it was going to crash. Planes. Sure, I've been on 100 planes in my life. Well, I've been on that many, but still, I've been on a bunch of flights. Never had the, maybe some people are afraid of flying, and understandably so, but I never had that fear. Driving on the highway, I only do that every day of my life. Pileups only happen every day. It's way more relatable to me. The whole NASCAR thing in part 4, not really. The whole bridge collapsing in part 5, not really. But do you think we should stop with the Final Destination movies? I fucking hope so. Let's see. I really like Final Destination 2. Yeah, me too. Well, I know he reused sets, Roger Corman. Absolutely. Anything to save the penny was Roger Corman, and anything to meet a feature length, which was Roger Corman. I still cringe when I get stuck behind a log truck. Bro, who doesn't? Who the hell doesn't? Every time you're behind an 18-wheeler holding logs, we all think of it. Agreed, it's top tier. Dude, you know what's funny is too, and I think I told this when I reviewed those movies. I even did a separate review for Final Destination 2. That's how much I love it. I remember there's a scene in the second one when the Dasani water bottle falls underneath the brake pedal and the mother can't stop the car and they fucking die because of it. To this day, the fucking drink I have a drink, it goes in the opposite fucking cup holder. That shit ain't happened to me. To this day, I still fucking, that's a weird one, I know, but it's the truth. That's, some people always look over my shoulder before I, go in the house, is the shape stalking me, whatever the fuck. The water bottle thing, that fucked me up. I was like, that's fucked up because that would happen. It would be a Mountain Dew Code Red in my movie. I'd be like, oh shit, motherfucker, bam, dead and buried. The one that opens with the stock car races. Oh, it's that's the biggest piece of shit. Ali Larter in the first two ain't bad either, dude. Blonde Ali Larter in this film, absolutely. There was scary stories to tell in the Dark Tale that is quite. There's very like a pre-Final Destination. Room for one more. I read that on the show actually. Fun fact. If I'm going to die in an accident, I'll take plane crash. Not going to limp away from that. Well, yeah, I guess quicker. FD2 is better than the first bold statement. I love both. I think they're both fantastic, but I would dead ass be honest. I like the second one a little bit more. I think what I like about the second one slightly more is the death scenes. I think the death scenes are way more realized. And I would say the characters are really good. And the whole psychology of the second one, where all of them are standing around the apartment and they were all connected in one way or another. They would be dead if it wasn't for the people that got off Flight 180. I loved that. Like I loved the one guy who was like, oh, one kid, he came in, he shot up the school. I would have been in that classroom, but I had to go cover for the teacher that died, the Val Luton character. I thought that was brilliant. I don't know. I really I think the first two are both like really great movies, but after that, it falls downhill. Definitely 3 through 5 are definitely not. I swear on my life, I do that. Ask anyone who's ever in a car with me. And if there's 2 cups in there, I got to take life into my own hands. There was a Final Destination film that was revealed to be a prequel to the original. Yes, that's the 5th one. That's right. Agree with that. Hey, it could happen. Dude, you never know. I don't know. It's for some reason that burned in my brain. I was like, no. And also Final Destination teaches you don't go in a fucking tanning bed. Don't be careful where you step in the bathroom when you take a shower. Otherwise you'll slip and have the like shower thing go around your neck. That scares the shit out of me, that scene. That's a horrific way to die. Like slipping around the bathtub, and oh man, that's a scary one. I wonder if the water company you mentioned ever lost money from the people being afraid of it. Dasani? I hope so. Dasani sucks. Let's move on here. Crystal Geyser for life. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Let's move on here. I love Final Destination 2. That's, I guess, the moral of the story. And I will say this. It's wild that it's the least grossing one of all of them. Pretty wild. But let's move on here. This is one I'm going to gloss over as well. This was January the 23rd of the year 2004. This is The Butterfly Effect. Now, again, this one, the reason I don't want to go too in depth, even though this is a pretty big hit, and I would even argue this is easily the best Ashton Kutcher movie he was ever in, for sure. Definitely the best movie where he's the lead. But again, is this really straight up horror? Not really. More romancy. I don't know. I would say elements, but not horror. I don't know. That's just me. So one we're going to gloss over, although it made a fuck ton of money. Moving on to the year of 2005, where we had a couple in 2005. We had actually 3 of these movies. This was January the 7th of the year 2005. This starring Michael Keaton. It's White Noise. Yes, White Noise, which had a budget of $10 million, grossed $91.2 million worldwide. That's a lot of money White Noise made. And quite interesting enough, I've seen this movie, and it's one that I had completely forgotten about. Like I forgot White Noise. I saw it. It came and it was a fart in church for me. But in my research, I was curious to see, like, does anybody look back on this film fondly? Apparently, Michael Keaton has admitted that he phoned this performance in and has since apologized for his performance in this movie. Now, I usually love Michael Keaton. I mean, I love him as Batman. I love him as Mr. Mom. I love him in Birdman. I love him in this movie called My Life, which is, I think, his best performance he ever gave was in My Life. I love it. I love him in The Founder, which is about the whole coming of origin story of McDonald's, and he is, Ray Kroc. I think Michael Keaton is one of the best actors of all time. I loved him as Vulture in the Spider-Man movie, the Homecoming movie. Loved him in that. I think he's one of the best actors of our time. Wild to hear him say he phoned this in. Wild. It makes me want to rewatch it just to see what a phoned in Michael Keaton performance looks like. Because I love fucking Michael Keaton, and I would be astonished to be like, oh, he gave a bad performance. He even admitted he phoned this in. This was just a paycheck for him. So pretty wild. I figured that was something worth of note. I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but I remember it being very forgettable. But $90 million, it made its money at the time for sure. Nah, Destination and Destiny and Aquafina are cheap, so they sell millions, of course. Worst film because it has incest. Oh, and The Butterfly Effect. Okay, I was confused. I'm like, he's talking Final Destination. He's talking White Noise. Yeah, it is okay, I guess, but it's shocking that it grossed $91 million. Like, fuck, like, really? Like, that was a surprise to me. And we're gonna have our first $100 million movie coming up, not profit wise, but a movie that made $100 million. And man, I think it's quite funny. The movie that the first one here in January that is all horror in my opinion, but we're gonna get there. It's this year of 2005. We got one more till that. There were two versions of the butterfly effect. You have the original theatrical version where Ashton Kutcher's character decides to let his girlfriend go, and there's the director's cut version. Yes, that's true. I like that movie. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think that's a horror movie. I don't like. It's worth noting because it made a lot of money in January. It's not straight up horror. I know it had sequels as well. Birdman Mask, sorry, Founder was good. I mean, I think that's a fair statement. A lot of people did not like the Birdman movie. Dude, I love My Life. I'm so happy someone else has seen it in here because it's such an underseen movie. I don't even think there's a Blu-ray out of My Life. I love that movie. Basically, Michael Keaton, he's dying. I don't know if it's of cancer. He has like a deathly disease, and he knows he's terminal. And it's like the last few months of his life, and his wife is pregnant with his son, who he's never going to meet. And his wife is played by Nicole Kidman, and it's a fantastic movie. They at one point have Queen Latifah in there. She plays his nurse. He has this recurring like dream of being on a roller coaster from when he was a kid. I think My Life is, I would say, it's the best Michael Keaton performance. I would really say that, and I don't think anyone's really seen the movie, so it's quite wild. Came out right around the time that he was making the Batman movies. I want to say it was '93. So it was, I think, yeah, the year after Batman Returns, and it's a movie that nobody remembers, but I thought it was quite beautiful. And it was directed by the guy who did Jacob's Ladder from a little bit of a horror fame standpoint, which I thought was interesting. The same writer of Jacob's Ladder directed My Life. Sorry about Birdman, just found it to be a bore. Dude, no worries at all. Don't be sorry about anything. Yo, I love the butterfly effect and White Noise. White Noise scared me at the time. Britt, welcome to the graveyard, my friend. Hope all is well with you. The dude in Creep said he was redoing My Life. Oh, did he? That's fucking funny. No. Okay, so we had someone who did like White Noise in here. I'll be honest, it came and went. Like I saw it. I remember renting it, but I don't remember the movie at all. Queen Latifah's first role, best serious role she was in. Well, I didn't know that was her first role. That's something. Adrian Lyne. It wasn't. It was the writer. I'm sorry. It was the writer of Jacob's Ladder who also wrote and directed My Life, because Adrian Lyne directed Jacob's Ladder, but I believe this was I forget the guy's name. Somebody could help me out. White Noise, forgettable. Yeah, it's forgettable. Adrian, I knew what you meant. No worries. Okay, so let's get on to the next two here of 2005. One of them is going to be our first $100 million movie. This other one, though, was directed by fucking Uwe Boll. This came out January the 28th of 2005. This is Alone in the Dark. Yes, $20 million budget, grossed about $12 million worldwide. This one was, yeah, this was a bad one. This is arguably the worst movie on this list. This is Uwe Boll, Christian Slater joint, somehow got a theatrical release, somehow got a $20 million budget, and it's a fucking piece of shit. And if you don't believe me, look on IMDb. I believe it gets a 2.4 on IMDb. So Alone in the Dark. I mean, do I really have to say it? Well, if you want to do yourself a favor, watch Alone in the Dark from the 80s. That's a lot better than this movie. Uwe Boll, LMAO, exactly. That is the one with Tara Reid. And apparently Uwe Boll hated her ass. Uwe Boll did not want to work with her because she refused to get naked, probably after that bad Yit job she got. But, you know, I digress. She would refuse to get naked with him, and he was like, fuck you. I should have picked a foreign actress because she would have got naked for me. That was his big gripe with the movie. But honestly, this movie fucking sucks. So, I mean, it is what it is. If I was her, I wouldn't have done that either. Based on a video game. Yeah, no, the video game is a lot better because, I don't know, at least it has some kind of a value and style. Had to look this up on Rotten Tomatoes. 1%. 1%. Jeez. 12 million, not 12.1 million. I know, you kidding. No, man. Hey, this is a big bomb. I can't believe they gave him $20 million to make this. I hope Christian Slater got most of that money, because everybody else involved was just, oh man, nothing in it makes sense. And he even injects himself with their blood. Yeah, no. This is a movie that I want to erase from my head. This is another, like, right in the vein of House of the Dead, which was a couple years before this. Like, just a total piece of shit movie. Rampage from Uwe Boll was actually pretty good. Dude, anything Uwe Boll makes, I avoid like the plague. I truly do. Because, man, that guy, one of the worst ever. But moving on into a movie that was released the same day, January the 28th of 2005. This was our first $100 million maker on this list. This is Hide and Seek. Yes, Hide and Seek with fucking Robert fucking De Niro. Robert fucking De Niro over here, you hot heart's having problems. This was around the time. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I'll get into the numbers here. The numbers, right? Hide and Seek, January the 28th of 2005, $30 million budget, grossed $127.3 million. Yes. Wow. Crazy big hit. Crazy big hit considering what this movie is. Now, I know this movie has its fans. There are people who I was making fun of it actually in a group chat, and people started being like, yo, I actually like it. So people started defending it. So maybe I'm alone in this, because this is a movie where I fucking laugh. I think this is hysterically funny movie, and not in a good way. Like, it's trying to be a seriously effective, scary horror film. And man, it's not, in my opinion, at least. So basically, if you haven't seen this one tells this is well, I guess I give kind of a forefront. This was around the time where Robert De Niro felt like he was taking every fucking script in the world. My theory is Robert De Niro had a dartboard at home, would put like 6 or 7 scripts on the dartboard, close his fucking eyes, and just start throwing darts. And whichever one he hit 3 times in a row, bam, he would pick that script. And that's why I think Robert De Niro did this movie. I think that won the game of darts. I think Robbie fucking De Niro and your heart's having problems. I think Robert fucking De Niro said, bam, I'm doing hide and seek. Give me the script for this. The script and the story, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with it, I'll fucking explain it because it's hysterical. Robert De Niro is supposed to play a young father, right? Because he's so young, around 2005. Because he's just a young chap, straight after Taxi Driver. I mean, there was no time in between then. But he is the young father of Dakota Fanning's character. And of course, his wife dies in a terrible, horrible accident. He moves her out of the neighborhood, and he starts to fall in love with Elizabeth Shue's character. And basically, his daughter starts talking and seeing this imaginary friend that in turn starts committing these violent murders. And her imaginary friend's name is Charlie. This movie made $127.3 million fucking dollars. And I don't know how. Like, it must have just been like people being like, Robert De Niro in a horror movie? What? That's my guess as to why this movie made money. I remember renting this, and I do remember this movie. So I guess it's more memorable than White Noise for whatever it's worth. Because at least it's memorably bad to me. So spoilers here. I'm going to spoil this movie if because it does have a twist. This is one of those classic movies where Robert De Niro just decides to turn heel at the end. And the entire time, the imaginary friend Charlie was Robert fucking De Niro. And he's killing all these motherfuckers. I shit you not. This movie made almost $130 million. And it's Robert De Niro playing a young father and turns into a psychopathic imaginary friend killer. You just can never tell what is or is not going to make money. I think it's wild. And I don't see many people mentioning in the comments whether they like this one or not, but man, it's something. That is quite something for me. This entire idea, this entire thing, to make that much money. It's flabbergasting to me. The movie gets a 5.8 on IMDb. I would say it's there, if not lower. I think it's not a good film at all. De Niro is one of my favorite actors. Yeah, no, absolutely. Hide and Seek was iffy at best for me. Sure. Yeah, no, Brett, we got to play the dark game sometime. De Niro and horror should be 2 parallel lines. That never touch. Frankenstein's creature was not credible either. Not at all. And I know a lot of people like Cape Fear, the remake of Cape Fear. He's great in that. I will agree he's great in that. It has horror elements. But this movie right here, what the fuck? Like, Robert De Niro. And I remember the way they promoted this was actually hysterical. Like, the trailer of it was really funny, where fucking Dakota Fanning was like, Charlie, Charlie. Like, they had her keep saying the name, so you'd think this was some evil entity. And the whole time it's fucking Robert De Niro. I mean, it was, when I seen this, I remember howling, laughing, like, what the fuck has the world come to? Where Robert De Niro is playing an imaginary friend killer. The Master of Fear is here. What's going on? Happy New Year, Fear. What I never even heard of that garbage. Yeah, no, I'd understand why. A lot of De Niro fans that don't watch horror are the ones that thought it was great. Oh, really? How could anyone think this was great, though? I would be astonished if people thought this was great, but, is what it is. In the movie, the little girl says, come out wherever you are. Robert De Niro also says it in the Cape Fear remake. I didn't know that. I missed yours. Oh, I missed your comment? Let me see. Was it this one? Multiple endings that changes the whole film. Oh, okay. Was that this movie, or... I'm not sure, because I didn't know if this had a production history of multiple endings. Maybe there was an ending where Robert De Niro wasn't the fucking killer, which would have, to me, it can't dissociate the film with that. So that is Hide and Seek. one I just had to, get a visual up of because I just couldn't believe it. I was like, man, this is too funny. Let's see. It's been too long. I remember when it came out. That cover is very nostalgic, but don't remember much. Yeah, no, it was definitely a big hit. I mean, 127.3 million worldwide about a movie about an imaginary killer friend that ends up being Robert fucking De Niro. It's quite wild it made that much money, but I guess his name sells that much. I mean, it is what it is. JP is in the house. Cape Fear is great. I mean, of course, Cape Fear is great, but I don't know. Hide and seek. Hide and seek is the opposite of great for me. I don't know. That's an iffy one. But let's move on into the following year. This is January the 6th of 2006, and a little movie called Hostel came out. Was made for a $4.8 million budget, grossed $82 million worldwide. So pretty decent size hit here. Of course, from director Eli Roth, from producer Quentin Tarantino. Of course, this was also coming hot off the heels of the first two Saw films, which set the world on fire. And this was one of those movies that continued the whole torture porn craze. And of the movies that weren't Saw, that were to go on and rip it off or take the torture porn idea, this is the movie that made arguably the most money of those. Like Teresa's did not make a lot of money. Fucking what is it? Club Dread, Teresa's fucking there's so many of them. Captivity, aka Craptivity, directed by fucking Roland Joffe. That's a fucking movie that tried to rip Saw off. There's so many Saw ripoffs, but this one definitely made the most money. And I don't even know if you'd call it a Saw ripoff. It's just a torture movie. The alternate ending is the daughter ends up in a pouch asylum, and it's clear that she has the same personality order as her. Oh, is that the case? I didn't know that. Oh, shit. That's crazy. I like Hostel. Sorry, not sorry. Dude, don't be sorry at all. I'm in the minority here. I know I'll lose a lot of you. I hate Hostel. I've always hated Hostel. I hate Hostel 1. I hate Hostel 2. And I hate Hostel 3. I think all three Hostels are fucking shitty. But here's the thing, and the reason why I do think this made its money, even though the second one bombed. And my whole thing is I think a lot of people that went to go see this did think it sucked. And then that's why the second one bombed as bad as it did. $20 million budget, made like $8 million. Yeah, people didn't fucking like the first one either. But there are its fans. So let's be honest. Let's be out and going here. I'll hear you out. Hostel's not bad to me. Okay, I know I'm in the minority. I hate Hostel. Most people like Hostel for sure. But here's the thing, and why I think this grows so much money. You have a movie that is dealing with Americans going to, I think it's is it Germany? It's like a town in Germany or whatever. They go there and then basically they check into this grimy hostel and they are killed and like tortured in ways. And then they go into the sequel with about the businessman where these people pay millions and millions of dollars to come in, fly into, foreign countries and murder people. And I know there's a group of people that go, oh, bro, does that really happen? And that's, I think, the type where if you watch the news, if you like the news programs, this is your type of horror movie where, oh my God, imagine if this really happens. Wow, how scary is that to think about? I think that type of demographic really flocks to a movie like this. And I also know that special makeup effects, people love them as well. My issue is all three characters sucked. All three characters were unlikable, horny assholes. And in the sequel, it was, oh, we'll make them all women. Unlikable, horny women assholes. I don't know. I can't stand fucking Hostel. I don't know. Hostel 2, same as Hostel, except it's women. Totally. We'll just make it bitches this time. Hostel 3 is the Hangover fucking Hostel. It's, oh, let's make it the first 30 minutes is the Hangover ripoff, and then it's Hostel the last hour with fucking Kip Purdue. I mean, come on. Grande about to go in. Slovakia. Yeah, no. Teresa's is sort of that like that in South America. Oh, okay. Agree. Neon Hostel is really fun. Sorry, Grande. Dude, no worries. Yeah, the third one with the fucking basically the Hangover, the third one, where they have the Beatles crawl in the guy's throat and shit. Now, I always said this, and this is I wish they had listened to me here. Hostel 3 could have been saved. And what do I mean by that? You should have, if there's ever a time to switch everything up, it was this time. Have it be America is doing this to the foreigners. And it's the foreigners that are our protagonists and have to fight out of this. That would have been something I think was so beneficial to this movie. Instead of just making it unlikable men to unlikable horny women. That's what they do, Hostel 1 and 2. And then Hostel 3, it's the fucking ripoff level Z cast of The Hangover. And it's just, oh man, it's a poor film. Hostel 3, oh gosh. They collect body organs in Teresa's. Hell yeah, man. Somebody get me a fucking, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. The ending of Hostel 2 was terrific. Eli Roth, History of Horror was very good, better than Hostel. Hostel got a lot of visibility too. Yeah, no, people love it, man. I'm definitely in the minority here, so I won't go in. Britt, I'm sorry, I won't go in. I have ranted on this movie in the past when I did worst firsts, where I talked about horrible movies, first movies that went on to garner a franchise. This was a movie I discussed. Well, if they're unlikable, wouldn't you want them to die? I get your point, but I just felt the movie was just a dull fucking, I don't know. I never was a fan of Hostel. I don't like the film at all. I never could get into it. I know it's got a fan base though, so I'm in the minority here. Don't be, bothered. I apologize if anything. I'm sorry for being the minority here. Cape Fear remake had starred the two actors who were in the original, Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum. That's a really good remake. The original's better, but I do like the Cape Fear remake. Hostel 3 is in Vegas, baby. Yeah, Vegas! Hostel, that's a film series I haven't seen in forever, but yeah, you're right about the characters. They're not good. Yeah, that's the issue. I don't know. It's just, and the whole idea either. It's like, I don't, that whole idea I don't like. I guess with the Saw movies, at least the first couple, there was the idea of, you have to value your life. You have to fight through this. You can get out. Hostel was just you sit in the chair and get your Achilles torn, or you get your fucking balls bitten off, or I don't know. It was just weak to me. You can have unlikable protagonists like Clockwork Orange. Well, Clockwork Orange, my guy, that's a lot. I mean, come on, we got the poster right here. Clockwork Orange a lot fucking better than Hostel. Put it in that boat that's quite so. And I know you're a Kubrick lover, so you're going to agree with that. You ain't got to be sorry, preacher brother. No, dude, absolutely. Grande, I'm not mad at you, dude. I would never be mad at you either. Hostel is sort of like a horror version of Eurotrip. Yeah, it is. It is, man. All was missing was Tom Green. Tom Green should have been in it. If they had killed Tom Green, I would have been in with it. I would have been okay. For Freddy's Got Fingered, they should have killed fucking Tom Green. Let's see. Dang, I thought you were about to make smoke in the Hostel Packer. I'm sorry, Britt. I'm sorry. I swear you I have in the past. I went on a crazy rant on the first Hostel. Watch worst first. I'll tell you what. I'll send you later. I'll send you the link and the minute marker of when I fucking buried Hostel, because that was a passionate fucking cussing-filled rant, and you would love it. So I promise. Remind me later if I don't send it. Maybe you can't see that because I'm typing to you. Can't see what because you're typing to me. What do you mean? Kubrick, yeah. Who can say mad at Grande? Oh, thank you. I 100% agree with you, Grande. Dead on with my opinion of the Hostel movies. Completely. There you go, my friend. There you go. It is. That's all we got to say. That's all we got to fucking agree on. But, long story short, Hostel made a lot of fucking money, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters at the end of the day. 4 point whatever million fucking turned into 82 million. That's quite an accomplishment. So whatever I think of it doesn't matter. There's some of these movies that we'll get into later where I don't know how the fuck they made $100 million. We'll get there. Tom Green, Pride of Canada. Yeah, no, if he's the Pride of Canada, Canada's in trouble, man. Being mad. Dude, never. The theme song to Saw Hello Zep is such a great theme. Oh, definitely. I love that. That's Charlie Clouser's great. We ain't gonna compare Hostel to A Clockwork Orange, No, I know, dude. No worries. I know that every time a Grande rants, an angel gets his wings. Well, I mean that happens enough because I get fucking angry over stupid shit. But let's move on here to January the 5th of 2007. A couple I'm gonna gloss over here. This is The Breed from the year 2007. Just a brief movie I want to just gloss over because I actually had not known about this movie until I did my research. Now, The Breed is a very interesting movie. It stars Michelle Rodriguez, of course, of Fast and Furious fame. It also stars Oliver Hudson, which if Oliver Hudson is in your movie, you might as well fucking turn it off because it's going to be a piece of shit, right? Oliver Hudson, you run away. Kate Hudson and fucking, Almost Famous, we might keep it. Hold me closer, tiny dancer. Count the headlight. I'm sorry. I love fucking Elton John and I love Almost Famous, but fucking, oh my God, this, oh man, The Breed, Oliver Hudson. I stay away from anything Oliver Hudson, but this basically I watched the trailer for this. I had not seen this movie. This looked like Cabin Fever meets Cujo. That's basically what it looks like. 5 friends go to a cabin for the weekend, and one of them gets bit by this dog. And then all the dogs are rabid. And if the dogs bite you, you become rabid. So it sounds a lot to me like fucking Cabin Fever meets Cujo with maybe an infection film thrown in there with Michelle Rodriguez, who I quite like. But the supporting cast around her. Taryn Manning is the queen of fucking direct-to-video movies. She was in films like Karen and Kill Theory and movies like that. I mean, she's in a ton of shit like that. I mean, this is a movie that it made $1.6 million in the theater, so it did not make any fucking money. It was probably made for a hot dog and a handshake as well, unfortunately. Wes Craven did put his name on this, so that's interesting. And it was directed by longtime Romero Key Grip. So I just thought this was one I had to mention. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. Like something I would definitely want to of note, but nothing that I've seen and nothing that made a lot of noise. Just something I gloss over here. Same year though, 2007, January the 12th, Prime Evil came out, which is a movie I actually quite liked, and it made $15 to $20 million worldwide. One I haven't seen in a while, but a movie I actually remembered liking. Prime Evil, that's a good one. Of course, same year now of January of 2007. This was also January the 12th of 2007. This is the Hitcher remake. Yes, the Hitcher remake. You remember the Hitcher got remade? Yeah, holy shit, it's bad. $10 million budget, gross $25 million worldwide. I mean, you can't remake the fucking Hitcher. C. Thomas Howell and fucking Rutger Hauer were amazing in the original Hitcher. That is a product of the 1980s and is a movie that to this day, has not gotten the special edition Blu-ray that it deserves. The Hitcher is it's the best movie that doesn't have a special edition Blu-ray. It's by far the best. It is bare bones Blu-rays. It's on HBO Max, but it deserves its Blu-ray with tons of features. I wish to God Rutger Hauer was still with us so he could have done a commentary for the film. I love the original Hitcher. The remake of the Hitcher, worthy of a Grande rant. But I don't want to get there because we have so many movies to get into. So little time. I feel like Willy Wonka. So little time. So little to get to. You're forgiven for your hostile hatred. Eli Roth is on the other line, though. Oh, well, I hate Eli Roth. So I don't know. Yeah, I know you're newer to the channel. But I hate Eli Roth. For the most part, I cannot stand Eli Roth. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to take a sip. Sorry. There's a lot of talking here, and so the voice gets a little dry. I apologize for the dead air. Remember the Hitcher with Sean Bean? That's the one I'm talking about. That's the remake of the Hitcher. Let's see. To this day, I can't buy a small package of powdered donuts because of the hostel room bedroom scene. Oh my God. Well, I don't blame you at all. I didn't even know the Hitcher had a remake. Yeah, that is the remake of the Hitcher. And yeah, it was quite the bomb. I mean, $10 million budget. Well, not a gigantic bomb, but it still didn't make much money. $10 million budget, $25 million worldwide. Probably broke around even. You make $15 against 10 million back, then marketing. I mean, it probably made, if it made any kind of budget, any kind of profit, it was small. If it lost anything, it was small. Probably broke around even. That's around where I would say. Usually your profit is your money times two. So your money times two there would around be that. So I don't know. But like I said, that's one I want to gloss over. This next one, though, another fucking remake. Yes, this is now we're into the year 2008, where we're going to have our second $200 million movies coming up. But this one didn't quite get there. And I'm glad it didn't. January the 4th of 2008. This is One Missed Call, the remake. Yes, it had a $20 million budget, grossed $45.8 million worldwide. Holy shit. If you're familiar with the original J-horror trilogy of the One Missed Call movies, of course, from Takashi Miike, who directed the first one, and then, Final Missed Call was the last film. I like the One Missed Call series. I like the trilogy, the J-horror trilogy. I quite like. This remake, though, this is your classic American Japanese movie remake that just misses every single point as to what made the original trilogy good. And it's a mess. This is a movie where the studio, you could tell, had their fingers all up in this movie. It's really, really short. It's quite forgettable. At times, it's more like a Final Destination movie. If you look at some of the death scenes in it, they're way more Final Destination-ish than they are One Missed Calls-ish. So I thought that was something. I mean, it seems like more natural disaster stuff. I remember the marketing for this. They had, and this is back in the days of flip phone. See, now you get to the points where I was alive during some of this, so I can remember some of the marketing. They marketed this where you had this ringtone where you could download the ringtone and make it your fucking dial tone. And it was like, doo 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 doo. I don't know why I remember that was the exact dial tone of it. and everybody had it in school. I remember everyone was like, "Oh my god, the fucking One Missed Call theme and stuff." And then everybody saw the movie and it was like, "Oh shit, this is a piece of shit." So it came and went, but it made its money. I mean, that's not a bad. I mean, 40. What did it make? 45.8 million. That's not terrible considering what it was made for, and it was not a known series in America. Like The Ring made its money, The Grudge made its money. My guess is this is right around that time. Shudder and this and Dark Water. All these movies were being remade in America from Japan movies, and this was one that didn't make the big profit that they were probably hoping for, but it wasn't also a bomb. It was critically a bomb, though. Like nobody gave this a fucking good review, and rightfully so. It's a piece of shit movie. I was going to say, isn't the OG One Missed Call and Miike film remake was terrible? Yes, it was a Miike film. And I like the original a lot. I like the first three. I really like the trilogy. I have the original trilogy on Arrow Blu-ray, but I have yet to watch it. I bought it because it has Takashi Miike involved. Yeah, no, he does the first one, and his style of horror filmmaking is just one of my favorites. I love him. I think he's one of the best filmmakers of all time. One of the movies that came out in January 2008 was the movie Cloverfield, which we're coming up next. That's the next one. One Missed Call, truly forgettable. I agree completely. So Slasher Fred actually beat me to it. The next one here from January the 18th of 2008. This is our next $100+ million movie. This is Cloverfield. $25 million budget, grossed $172 million worldwide. Smash fucking hit. That's our biggest gross so far, 172. And I believe I don't think any other movie on this list gets to 172. There are movies, though, with less of budget that got too close to 172 that made more of a profit. So we get there soon. But Cloverfield, I mean, I remember seeing this in the theater, loving it. I thought the marketing campaign was brilliant for this. Of course, anyone who went to go see the shitty 2007 Michael Bay Transformers film remembers the teaser trailer of Cloverfield where they didn't even give the title. They just showed the Statue of Liberty's head being thrown into downtown Manhattan, and then you just saw the date. And I remember nudging my dad at the time. I think I was 10 or 11 years old and being like, we got to go see that. And sure enough, we were there opening night to go see Cloverfield in the theater. And I remember we both fucking really, really liked it. Granted, my dad got motion sickness because it's a fucking shot on video film. But to make $172 million on a film where you shot primarily on a camcorder, 70% of it shot by TJ Miller, who's now an actor. It's wild, but I think it's a brilliant film. I think it's arguably the best American-made Godzilla movie that isn't a Godzilla movie. It's the closest I think we've ever come to making a good monster movie, like one of the best monster movies to me of our era. And I think it's a truly a great idea to bring the found footage aspect into it, because how many monster movies were there over the years? How many Godzilla films, Rodan films, so many fucking films over the years. Mothra, oh my God, how many giant monster movies. Let's change the perspective. Let's give the perspective of the people on the ground filming it on a night where they're celebrating a party. I love the idea of Cloverfield. And I've done a whole episode on the Cloverfield trilogy that I loved doing. It's actually the shortest episode of Grande's Grave if anyone wants to check that out, because I really like to talk about these movies more in depth. But there's no doubt that this movie was a ginormous hit. I mean, 25 million made 172 worldwide. That's a lot of money for a movie that nobody really knew what it was going to be coming in. And I bet you, for one thing, they may have regretted dumping this in January, because who knows? It might have made way more in a July, or December. Who knows? It really is interesting to think about how much more this would have made. But funny enough, we'll move down the line. When we get to 2016, the sequel, 10 Cloverfield Lane, was also a January horror movie, which also made a lot of money. So weird enough, kind of one of those things. But let's get to comments. Grande, maybe some of these American-made movies were more highly regarded in other countries that Americans don't know about. I mean, if the One Missed Call remake is highly regarded in any country, I don't know. That country needs to see some better movies. That's what I say. Had the Dharma logo. I like Cloverfield, but damn it, it will make you dizzy. That's what my dad says. He says the same thing. Lots of Easter eggs. That's true. That the ton of them. You see King Kong. There's a ton of Easter eggs in the movie, which I thought were fantastic. I agree. I think Cloverfield deserves it. I think Cloverfield is a really, really good movie. If you look at the director, Matt Reeves, he went on to do Let Me In, which is the remake of Let the Right One In, and then he went on to do the Batman movie that just came out, 2022 Batman with Robert Pattinson. He directed that. So he went from this making $100 million movie, monster movie shot on video, to making 3-hour Batman epics. It's quite interesting to see how he grew over those years and is now still making really big movies. Terrifying, dude. Yeah, totally. And I know you're from New York like me, so when you see Lady Liberty's head get fucking thrown around like it's a fucking football punt, that was eye-opening. I thought that was one of the best trailers of all time, where you don't see anything else. You don't know the story, you don't know the plot, you don't know the actors, characters, nothing, because none of it mattered. It was just, holy shit, that's the Statue of Liberty's head, and it just got fucking punted to the 1-yard line, motherfucker. That is some awesome, I think, I would say the best teaser trailer of all time, because it did its job. And look how many fucking people went to go see it and enjoyed the movie. I will say this, while I like 10 Cloverfield a lot, and I even like the third one, even though everybody hates Cloverfield Paradox, I like the third one as well. They probably missed out on making a huge fucking franchise with this. Like, imagine if you just did a sequel that was the same, like Body Count Continues type of sequel, where it's somebody the same night filming from their perspective, and just get a different perspective of the Clover monster or whatever, and then maybe learn more, how classic Body Count Continues type of sequel. I think they could have made these forever. This could have been a huge franchise, but they didn't do that. They waited 8 years to make a sequel, and it didn't have that monster in it. Instead, it had John Goodman playing a monster, which I thought was quite brilliant. I love Cloverfield. I think Cloverfield's great. The monster was looking pretty cool too. Love the design of Clover. I think it was a wonderful design. And the whole, I like how for most of the film, we see parts of it. And then finally at the end, when it gets TJ Miller front and center and it's breathing throughout its ears. And I thought it was brilliant. I think it's America's greatest monster movie. I know people would say like King Kong is a monster movie. I think King Kong is so much more than a monster movie though. Like Cloverfield's a monster movie. So I would say King Kong. Cloverfield. Cloverfield is such an awesome film, one of my all-time favorite movies. The whole movie made me feel like an ant compared to the giant-ass monster, and that was the brilliance of having the perspective be from the people on the ground. I think that was the smartest thing they did. Apparently, Nicholas Winding Refn is a big Cloverfield fan. I don't know many people that don't like Cloverfield. The only complaint you hear is that it was too shaky. That's the only, like my dad. I remember my dad saying, "I liked it, but fuck, I'm sick. Like I can't." Like that I remember is like one of the few criticisms that movie gets. The end credits music at the end of the first Cloverfield film is beautiful, totally. And of course, the classic, "It's going to be a great day." And you see the fucking satellite come down, or the rock, or the alien, or whatever. It's been argued about for years what that was. A lot of people say it was a satellite, but I remember as a kid, I didn't notice it the first time in the theater, and then somebody in homeroom the next, or I must have been 11 or 12. So it wasn't homeroom yet. It was either end of elementary school, beginning of middle school. And somebody said, "Did you notice the fucking thing in the screen?" I was like, "What?" And I went back to see it again, just to look for that at the end. And I was like, "Oh my God, like, what the fuck?" Like, that's when you're doing your job right. When I went back just to see if there was an Easter egg in there. It's funny, like, how it feels like it was an eon ago. But it was only like 15 years old. 15 years old. This like 2 weeks from now, it will celebrate its 15th anniversary. But it feels like an eon ago. It's quite wild. I was 11 because now I'm 26. So yeah, I was 11. That makes sense. Cloverfield was my first found footage movie. 10 Cloverfield Lane are some of the best found footage. Well, 10 Cloverfield Lane is not found footage, but it's a damn good movie. I agree. Yes, the trailer was completely agree. Grande, what did you think of the deleted scenes of the homage GF videos to her kidnapped boyfriend from the rig at sea? I haven't seen those. I know that there's other scenes where it's them around in the town. I've seen those. The kidnapped boyfriend, that I haven't seen that stuff. But it sounds unnecessary. The film post and backwards audio. Yes, if you rewind the audio backwards, it's still alive. That I remember that. That was a gimmick movie that just fucking worked, and it hit everybody in the right spot. I admit the original King Kong is groundbreaking, but I personally prefer Peter Jackson's version because of how well it's made. I like the original. I don't know. Peter Jackson King Kong, I always felt was too long. It's just way too fucking long for me. I like the 76 Kong a lot. I always like that, but the people tell me that's the bad one. I don't know. I think the two prevailing theories are it was the monster crashing to Earth or the satellite. Yeah, and the sequels, they have you think it's the satellite, but either way, it got people talking and it made a shit ton of money, which is the goal always. Let's move on here. Same year, this was January the 16th. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the following year. So January the 16th of 2009, another $100 million movie. This is the remake of My Bloody Valentine. This one was presented in 3D. $15 million budget, grossed $100 million worldwide. Pretty smash hit. That's pretty wild. I actually have only seen the remake of this once. I remember Tom Atkins being in it, and I remember not seeing the 3D version, so I felt a little bit robbed. But overall, not one of the worst remakes out there. Not a great remake, not a remake I've ever actually gone back to rewatch. So I don't know if that's saying a lot good, a lot bad, or a lot ugly. I don't know. It could be one of the three or all three. But I would say that it's quite wild. This made $100 million. Now, I do know this was around the time where everything was going to be in 3D. I mean, every fucking movie, because Avatar, 3D, and fucking My Soul to Take, they even tried to do in 3D. Like everything was, they brought that gimmick back. Like everything had to be in 3D. And this is one of the movies that kicked that off. And I remember they charged way more for tickets. Like they charged way more for 3D tickets as opposed to the standard ticket. And that's probably where a lot of that money comes from for the $100 million worldwide. They were charging more for the tickets. So I admit you made a great profit, 15 million, and you made 100. You made a great profit, but some of that is kind of a cheat to me if you're charging more for the ticket. Just my opinion, though. That's just me. I think the MBV remake is decent, but it ain't the OG. Dude, it ain't the OG. And funny enough, in the competition I won from you, I ordered the OG because I actually don't own that. Cool enough. So I'm super excited for that. Thank you again for that, man. I appreciate it. Well, Grande, you know you're wrong about King Kong. No, I mean, I don't know. I have the 4K of the Peter Jackson King Kong. And I want to like it, but it takes too long to get to Skull Island. And I think when it gets back to New York, I lose a lot of interest. Like when King Kong and Naomi Watts are on the fucking ice, like what the fuck? Like, I don't know. I felt it was too long. It really desperately screamed that Peter Jackson had every say, every control. I think he needed a guy to be like, we need to edit this down a little bit. Like that's just my opinion, but I know there are a lot of people that think it's like the ultimate definitive version of Kong. So if that's how you feel, good on you completely. I definitely know I'm in the minority of not being a giant fan of that too. Dude, you keep jumping out in front of me. That was the next one, Slasher Fred. Yes, the uninvited. We'll get there. I promise we'll get there. It's the next one. Don't forget to turn on the prayer conditioner. Oh my God, yes, in shocking 3D. I swear to God, My Soul to Take was a 3D movie. But yeah, no, My Bloody Valentine from 09. Definitely one I wouldn't expect to make that much money, but goes to show you slasher films can always draw. Slasher Fred took the words right out of my mouth. The same year, January the 31st of 2009, The Uninvited was released. The remake of The Uninvited. This was a remake of a film from the 40s, which I love, the original Uninvited. Grossed 41 to 42 million. I could not find anything as to how much this movie was made for. So I don't know the budget here. But I definitely think that this was a movie that I was surprised they remade, number one, because I love The Uninvited from the 40s. I think that's a great ghost movie. And I believe they have like Elizabeth Banks in this movie. So I don't know. I actually have not seen the Uninvited remake. It gets okay reviews, but it's one that I would definitely have to check out. Professor Macabro. I think it's a first time name on the Graveyard. Welcome. Greetings and salutations. Welcome, my friend. Hope all is well with you. Pat is in the house. Greetings, Pat. How about them Steelers, buddy? Let's get into the playoffs this week. What do you say? Let's see. Next movie up here, though. So that was January of 2009. Let's go to January of 2010. I'm trying to go through these a little quicker because there's so fucking many. This from January the 8th of 2010. This is Daybreakers. Yes, Daybreakers. $20 million budget, gross $51.4 million worldwide. That's actually a lot considering that nobody really remembers this movie. This was like, I think Ethan Hawke was in this. It was a vampire film and like blood banks, had to do with blood banks. I barely remember this movie. I can't really say whether I liked it or not. I have seen it. I vaguely remember renting it. It might have even been the Redbox days where I rented this. That's how long ago this fucking was. But I don't know. It is what it is. I would say this one is one I'd have to rewatch, but not a bomb, not anything like that, nothing crazy. You didn't do Legion, did you? Legion is the next movie on the list. Crazy enough. So you timed it perfect, my friend. We're going in order. I thought the intro part and ending of Jackson's Kong, I think works, sets up stage for Watts and Brody, and shows Watts' enduring love carried into New York Sea part. Okay, fair enough. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Just that movie always just missed something for me. I own a digital copy of The Uninvited, but I've never watched it. I haven't really seen it either, so I can't really say. To be perfectly honest with you, people saying hi. Uninvited remake is actually a remake of the Japanese movie called Tale of Two Sisters. Oh, really? So it's not a remake of the 44 film? I didn't know that. I thought it was a remake of the 1944 film, which had been nominated for Oscars and shit, and for cinematography. Go Steelers, hell yeah. Watts Enduring Love for Kong. TJ Watt or Naomi Watt? I'm just kidding. Tay Breakers was crazy good. Well, at least I liked it. Okay, good. So that's one I can add to the watch list for sure. That's one I actually, I remember seeing it, but I barely remember the film. It's another white noise where I saw it and it went in one ear, out the other. Daybreakers is a surprisingly decent vampire movie, but it should be better. That was it made by the Spierig brothers? Am I right on that? They're the guys that did Jigsaw, which is a fucking piece of shit movie. They also did the movie with oh my god, it was like a haunted house. Winchester? Was it Winchester? Somebody fucking fact check me here on the Spirit Brothers. I'm sorry. See, there's only so much I can fucking remember. Sorry to go off the rails and going away from topic. Don't be sorry at all, man. This is what the chat is for. Daybreakers is pretty cool. Vamps going in feral were so cool looking, just all decayed and creepy. Okay, well, all right, man. You guys are making me think I've really got to rewatch this. Legion rules. We're gonna get there. Grande, you don't have to like Jackson's Kong. No, I don't. I don't know if I dislike it. It's like it's missing something. I don't know how to explain it. I was only the person Uninvited was a loose remake of The Tale of Two Sisters, unless there's more than The Uninvited. I don't know. I'm starting to not. I thought it was a remake of the 44, The Uninvited, but I've not seen it, so I can't tell you. Yes, Legion, Terminator Plot with Angels. Yes, I liked it too. We're about to get there right now, so let's get into it. I'm just gonna. I liked Daybreakers. People talking Brit meant more than one Uninvited. No worries at all. It happens. That leads us to the next movie, which is Legion from January the 22nd to 2010, had a budget of $26 million, grossed $68 million worldwide. Wow. That's quite a lot of money. And now, if you remember the marketing for this, now this was, like I said, I was around 12 or 13 when this came out. I completely remember how this was marketed. Now, this is a movie. It is the Terminator plot, like Professor says. It's the Terminator plot with angels or whatever. However, the way they marketed this movie, and the reason I think it made $68 million is because of how they marketed it. If you remember the only fucking trailer they showed of this movie, it's a bunch of people in a diner, and this little old woman comes in, and she turns into a fucking demon and starts trying to kill motherfuckers. And they made it look stupid. They made the film look as stupid as humanly possible to get asses in the seats. And that's what they promoted it. That's how they marketed it. It's the truth. Whether you like the film, whether you hate the film, that's how they sold it. And it made 68 million, so it worked. It goes to show you never know what's going to work, what's not going to work. But the movie itself is actually a lot better than that marketing ploy would have you think. It's basically God got so disgusted with the human race that he sends all of the angels down from heaven to kind of bring it upon the end of the world, to bring upon Armageddon. And we follow these people in a diner who kind of band up with guns and stuff. Kate Walsh is in there. Paul Bettany is in there. I believe Dennis Quaid is in there. I quite like the movie. I thought it was a pretty good movie. But, it's one of those movies where I avoided it at the time because of the trailer. I thought the trailer was so misleading. I was like, oh, that looks like a dumb horror movie. Why would I go see that? And then when I saw it finally, I went, wow, that's a lot smarter than I ever thought it was going to be. And I kind of was pleasantly surprised with Legion. I really liked it. I thought it was a good movie. One that gets its shit, though, without a doubt, it gets its shit. Let's see. I think we were here. Legion, the Terminator plot, but nothing with angels. Yep. Okay. I'm sorry. I might have went back too far. Let's see. Not a fan of Ethan Hawke. He is black. Yeah. They like, I'll put it to you this way. He's been in good films, but it's like never because of him. Like I would say that like he's fine, but it's never his like doing that makes it good. Scott Stewart did Legion and Priest. Okay. Ooh la la. Is that the King Knee Gory Corey? What's up, my friend? Hope all's well. Doug Jones is in that. Yes, he is. He's in a ton of stuff. Gotta love Doug Jones. He's in another January horror movie we're gonna get to. Paul Bettany, yes, and he's on the poster. Paul Bettany with he cuts off the angel wings and helps them. He has a gun and a knife. And I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was one of those movies where I was like pleasantly surprised. And then I remember when I told people about it, they're like, "Oh, that's that stupid one," and then I was like, "Give it a shot," you know. So there might have been other people like me that was kind of turned off to how they marketed it, but it made its money. $68 million is nothing to fucking scoff at. That's a good profit, man. That's something to run home about to me. There was a horror movie in 2010 called The Final that is about. Oh, I love that movie. That I covered that on Grande's Graveyard. I think Halloween Horror Picks, one of them, where it all revolves around these kids that are bullied, and then on Halloween night they had this big Halloween party in the school, and they kind of tie up and torture all the bullies that tortured them. A great movie about the horrors of bullying. I think an annual October watch for me. I love it. That woman was creepy. They also used Doug Jones as well as the Ice Cream Man. That's right. Yes. I liked Legion a lot as well. Really well made film with really good performances, solid writing, and great premise. Yeah, I agree. I think, for what it's worth, I'm not a religious guy. I don't really flock to religious movies. I thought it was a good way to use religion in a movie. Like, God got so fucking pissed at all of us. They said, "Fuck it, I'm sending angels down again." I think that's an interesting idea. Like, that's because, all right, fuck it, I could see that. Like, it's not a holy, it's more of a fuck this, man. I'm sending him down to kill all you motherfuckers. And we got to save the pregnant lady, which is very fucking Terminator. Kevin Durant is Gabriel. Yes, they made a series called Dominion on the Sci-Fi Channel. That's right. They did. When Grandma Entered That Diner gave me huge Sam Raimi vibes. Yes, I would agree with that. That's something Sam Raimi, like, Drag Me to Hell, Sam Raimi would do, like, to totally get the vibe you're talking about. I like hearing that plot of that final. Sounds like a good story. It's a really good one, man. I like The Final. It's a really underrated one I watch every October. I think it's a really good, like, Halloween horror pick if you haven't seen The Final. Really good. Also it does have Charles S. Dutton, who was fantastic. I mean, I love Charles S. Dutton in Rudy. I always remember him in. He's in Alien 3, which is not a good movie, but he's good. He was in a few episodes of House. He plays Foreman's Omar Epps' father in an episode where Omar Epps' character is on the verge of being of dying, and I think he's great. Charles S. Dutton's just a wonderful actor. I really like him. I'm not religious, and I like Aronofsky's Noah. I haven't seen Aronofsky's Noah, although I've heard that's his weakest. But I did really like The Whale, which just came out with Aronofsky did. There a B horror movie called The Ice Cream Man that starred Clint Howard. Of course, we love Clint Howard. Better, Legion or The Prophecy? Wow. You know what? Enough people have seen The Prophecy. I would say Legion. We'll go Legion there. And, Legion versus Priest now, huh? Fuck it. We go Legion for one. We'll go Legion with the other. Although Priest is probably, I don't know. Priest might be better, but we're in the Legion mood tonight. We'll go Legion for both. Fuck it. But The Old Woman was deadly. Stewart played it straight. Yeah, no. I'm just saying that's totally what they sold it with. They were like, people think that's fucking funny, and they did. That's how they marketed it. I guess I'm gonna have to watch Legion again, but I don't remember a good movie. No, sorry, hey man, it might not be a good movie. I like Alien 3, kind of underrated. Okay, Priest is also excellent. Black Swan is my favorite Aronofsky. I love Black Swan as well. I love The Wrestler. I mean, Aronofsky is fantastic. But let's move on into the following year. Speaking of religious horror, a movie that I fucking don't like, and I'll gloss over this one. This is from January the 28th of 2011. This is The Right. Yes, The Right with Anthony Hopkins. Had a budget of $37 million. Wow, that's a lot of money to make a boring fucking exorcism film. Grossed $96 million worldwide. I found this film to be the cure for insomnia. I never really liked The Right. It's a boring, bland exorcism film that would fucking put any, awake person to sleep. I think this is a boring film, but it made $37 million and it made some money. I mean, The Right was all wrong. I would agree with that. The Right is underrated. Okay, so I mean, it made its money. It definitely made money, but I don't know, for Anthony Hopkins, and I don't know. I found it to be. I would say awful too. I didn't like The Right at all. I definitely remember being excited for. Wow, so we got The Right is all wrong. The Right is underrated. The Right was awful. We have every single color of the fucking rainbow there, which I would have to say I don't like The Right. This one I don't even want to spend time on because I think it's fucking irrelevant. However, we move on to our next big movie of note, and one that unfortunately I cannot gloss over because it is the one with the smallest budget that made the most money thereafter. And when I show it to you, you're going to be like, what in the fuck? But this is from the year 2012. This was released on on January the 6th. So tomorrow, it celebrates its 11th anniversary tomorrow. This is The Devil Inside. Yes, The Devil Inside a Bitch. The fucking devil inside. Wow. Made on a budget of $1 million, grossed $101.75 million. Holy fucking shit. That's crazy. That's crazy. Considering how fucking bad this movie is. How did this movie make 101.75 against a budget of $1 million? And you may be thinking, maybe they marketed this thing right. Maybe it was just a movie that came around the right time. I see Mernsy asks, is this found footage? Yes, it is. I'm going to get to comments, I promised. This was how they promoted it. This fucking poster, this nun with weird eyes, who you'd think, oh, she probably plays a prominent role in the film, right? She's in the fucking movie for 4 seconds tops. They're filming. Oh, I'm on a fucking small bridge. And you see this whacked out nun look at the camera, and you don't hear from her again. You don't learn her fucking name. I don't know if her name was Sister Teresa. I don't know if her name was Sister Gonorrhea. I don't know if her name was fucking Sister Marianne Joseph. Marianne and Arbor. I don't know who this bitch is. But this was the poster that they used to sell this movie, and it made $101.75 million. What the fuck? It is awful. It is awful. It is directed by the same idiot that brought us a little movie called Stay Alive with Frankie Muniz about a killer video game. It is directed by William Brett Bell, who for some reason they let direct another movie with this. And then he went on to go direct another January horror film that we will be discussing tonight called The Boy. Yeah, we'll get there. William Brett Bell, ladies and gentlemen. Holy shit. This movie's fucking horrible. But let's get to comments. I don't want to get too far behind. Can't believe the director of 1408 made The Right incredibly weird. He also, incredibly weird enough, went on to make Escape Plan with Sly Stallone and Schwarzenegger. So it's weird. It's like they couldn't figure out where to fucking have that guy direct films. Those 3 films couldn't be any more different. Which is worse, The Right or The Devil? The Right is better than The Devil Inside. At least The Right had a budget. At least The Right had Anthony Hopkins. Even though it's boring and would put any fucking normal person to sleep, The Devil Inside's got to be the worst $100 million movie of all time. Like, it's got to be up there. I agree. Devil Inside's worse. The film, yeah, it has no fucking ending. It's just a bunch of people fighting in a fucking car. Hey, fuck you. Hey, fuck you. And then the fucking movie ends with a bunch of people fighting in a car. And then for more information, go to this fucking doodly fucking do website. Fucking type in the numbers with your fucking dick. What? Are you fucking kidding me? I sat here for 70 minutes of a bunch of shaky cam bullshit, bad, boring exorcism scenes, a scene where they're baptizing a baby and the priest gets possessed, so he holds the baby that he's baptizing underwater, a film that you promoted with this stupid hoe gonorrhea nun with fucking eyes that looks like somebody came in each one of them. It's just awful, and you leave me on the note with no ending and tell me to go home and go to a Bumblefuck website. You gotta be kidding. You just gotta be fucking kidding. Is it the found footage one? Unfortunately, Mernsy, yes it is. They didn't have the budget to finish it. No, I guess not, but they had the budget to fucking promote a gonorrhea nun on the poster. The Devil Inside made $101.75 million. It's unreal. It's unreal. No movie on this list had a lower budget and made this much. No movie. So from lowest budget to highest, granted, there's movies that made probably more, like we're going to get to one in 2018, and even the next movie we're going to get to might have made more. But from a low risk, high reward, this was the winner of all the January horror movies that we'll be talking about tonight. No movie was made for a lesser budget that made more than this. That's pretty wild. Because of that cover art, that's why. Dude, it's shitty cover art. Like, what the fuck? I'm going to blow everyone's mind in the chat. The person who made Devil Inside wanted to make Orphan First Kill. That's right, William Brett Bell, man. He directed a werewolf film called Where. It's fucking bad. The trailer to that sold it as a creepy exorcist flick, but that non-ending ruined it. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I'll be honest, I don't remember the trailer that much. Her name actually was Sister Gonorrhea. Was it Sister Gonorrhea? Fuck, I was hoping it was Sister Herpes. 4 seconds, still 3 seconds more than Pie. Oh, okay. It made a lot of money because people thought it would. And it will end the year 2012. Maya, mine might as well go to the movies. Sure, I mean, mate. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just a bad movie. Hot take: the uncut version of Stay Alive is a little better. Maybe. The fucking normal take is not. Another movie came out in 2012, January, was the anthology horror movie VHS. I love VHS. VHS, I like you. Priests drowns baby. Disgrazia. Yes, this fucking yeah. Where's I actually agree. Where is actually his best movie for sure. That's the one that made no money. Funny enough, of all the movies he made, the one that was a flop was his only good movie. Let's move on though into the year of 2013. I'm sorry, there's so many on this list. We've got a bunch more, and so I'll try to get through these a little bit quicker. One of our first big franchise movies, because Final Destination 2 was on here. This is from a legendary franchise, though. This came out January the 4th of 2013, celebrated its 10-year anniversary just this past yesterday. Texas Chainsaw 3D. $20 million budget, grossed $47.3 million worldwide. Let me get this dumbass nun off the screen with me. Texas Chainsaw 3D. I'll blow your minds with this. While by no means is it good, by no means is it like a good movie. It's one of those movies that embraces how fucking stupid it is. And that's why I can watch it as dumb fun. There's different, people that defended the 2022 Chainsaw Massacre film and claimed that was dumb fun. No, that's not dumb fun. That movie thought it had serious themes and had things to say about fucking gun laws and fucking, I don't even want to get into the 2022 film. That film thinks it's smarter than it really is. But this movie is wonderfully stupid. It is so wonderfully stupid that it has an awful timeline error where the baby at the beginning of the film, they fast forward 40 years later and she's fucking 20 years old and hot in Alexandra Daddario, which is fucking wild. Do you think, cuz? Texas Chainsaw 3D, yes. 3D is better than the last. I agree. I would say it's the most dumb fun of any of the Chainsaw movies. That and the Matthew McConaughey one are dumb fun. They don't have anything to fucking say. Yeah. Well, how about this, Professor Macabro? I'm about to blow your mind. If you know Texas Chainsaw lore, you know the previous Texas Chainsaw movie was Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, directed by Jonathan Liebesman, who also brought us Darkness Falls. Yes, the Killer Tooth Fairy movie. He was a producer on that film, on the Texas Chainsaw: The Beginning, and this film. Same producer. The producer of Texas Chainsaw: The Beginning went on to date, marry, and have children with a little actress named Jordana Brewster, who was the lead of Texas Chainsaw: The Beginning, if you remember. Fast forward all these years later, I guess, 7, 8 years later, to this film, where he meets Alexandra Daddario on set, cheats on his wife, Jordana Brewster, who he has 2 kids with Alexandra Daddario. They got divorced, and now he married Alexandra Daddario. So the producer got fucking kids, married, and fucking hooking up with both these ladies, back-to-back Chainsaw movies, 8 years apart, has a bunch of kids in the middle. Wild. So he must have thought she was pretty mesmerizing too, because he dropped Jordana Brewster. And just for the record, this is something, since we had a bunch of people in the chat all night, Brewster or Daddario? I want to just ask that question. Anyone, who do you like better, Brewster or Daddario? I don't know. I like Brewster way better, but I'd be interested to hear what other people think. I like Texas Chainsaw 3D. It was fun. Yes, it is fun. Daddario made it for me. I would agree. They also had Trey Songz in there, which I remember at the time people were like, Trey Songz is in it. And I was like, I don't know who the fuck that is, to be perfectly honest. I'm not a very hip rap person, if you couldn't tell. Texas Chainsaw remake came out in 2003, which I wish it had never come out. Couple fun kills too. Here we go. Grande rant. I guess you were in the Devil Inside part. I don't know. John Loosenhop. The Loosenhop Bob. That's right. That was the funniest thing they ever said. I cried laughing at that when he was like, we're all doing the Loosenhop Bob now. Those two are the best. Wait, are you talking about TCM with Arlie Ermy? You briefly mentioned, because I really like that one. Also love the original TCM. So Arlie Ermy did 2 of them. He did the remake in The Beginning. He is in both of the movies, but I'm talking specifically about the one that Jordana Brewster was in. He went on to marry and have kids with her, and then cheat on her and divorce her with Alexandra Daddario when they fucking made this movie, which is wild to me. You were right about that. I told you I'd blow your mind. I knew it was coming. The movie that Deadpit Radio review was comedy gold. I agree. I'm gonna go get with Deion Sanders and say both of those late. Hell yeah. Daddario because of her eyes and other things. Other things. I don't know. I think I know what other things you're talking about. I'm not a hip hop rap person either. Not that I'm against it. It's just like I don't know who Trey Songz was before. I'm old school. Like I am like I know more fucking Soledad Miranda music than I would ever know fucking rap. But I'm weird that way. I'm old that way. Ermi is a legend. I'm old at heart, I guess. My bad. I thought you said TCM remake. I know you hate it. I do hate the TCM remake. But I'm not gonna rant. I have too many movies. If he produced another Chainsaw movie, he's an idiot. Well, I mean, there was Leatherface, but they sold the rights by that point, and then there was the 2022 movie. So I mean, it is what it is. Daddario for me. I'm talking about the one where Ermi puts on the cop uniform. Well, there's like I said, there's two. He's in the remake and the prequel, the beginning. He's in two of them, and he has a cop uniform on in both of them. So it could be either one of those. But I mean specifically the Brewster one. Yeah, no, I'm nothing against it. Just I'm if anything, I'm out of fucking style with it. I'm behind the times with that. So that is Texas Chainsaw 3D. $20 million made 47.3. Okay, profitable, but not that big of a profit. Here we roll on to a movie that nobody expected to be this big of a profit, and one of the last movies of note that I have to mention on here. It is from the year 2013. I'm going to do a screen share here, so bear with me. This is from the year 2013. This is Mama. Yes, Mama from 2013, January the 17th to be specific of 2013. $15 million budget, gross $146.4 million worldwide. This was a monster hit, a mega hit. And I remember when this came out, everybody at school was talking about it. This was a really, really big hit at the time. This was right around the time I was ending middle school or starting high school. And I remember everybody was talking about this movie. I really remember everybody hyping this movie up. And I remember seeing it and thinking it was okay. But I haven't, 10 years later, I still have not gone back and rewatched this movie. So this movie will be celebrating its 10th anniversary very, very, fairly shortly. But the really big reason to mention this movie is because of the amount of money it made. $15 million gross 146.4. That's a crazy amount of money for a movie that was completely unknown going in. Now, the director, of course, went on to make the two It movies, the It and It Chapter 2, or as I call them, Shit and Shit Chapter 2. Andy Muschietti. His real name is Muschietti, but I call him Andy Muschietti. This movie's better than either one of those, I'd say that. But I think in a lot of ways, Mama was one of those big surprise January hits that they didn't expect it to make $5 million. And then it just made all of this money. I mean, that's a crazy amount of money. I believe Del Toro directed this. Yes, I see professors saying that. Guillermo del Toro did produce this. That is true. That is right. Mama was disappointing. I don't remember it that much. The short, though. Oh, you mean the Mama? Mama is one of those movies I watched, found decent, but I certainly didn't love it or like it enough to buy a Blu-ray. I'd love to definitely give it a rewatch. It's definitely a 10-year anniversary coming up. Why not? Grande, I could see you at a horror convention on stage doing a presentation about movies. I'd love that, man. I would love to even get paid to do this. I mean, this is so much fun to do. It's like the amount of research I did for this show is like flabbergasting when you think about it. I sat down and went through all of these years and wrote all of this stuff down, did all this. Well, granted, I mean, some of the stuff I know just off of my previous, knowing, but it was fun to do this show. I'm sorry if it's running a little long. We're definitely nearing the end here. We've got like a few more movies here, and if ones we'll gloss over for sure. But Mama, I just wanted to mention that Mama was a huge box office draw. I mean, this movie made a ton of money when nobody else thought it was going to. So that's one of worth and high mention. Yeah, the Mama short. Okay, I haven't seen the Mama short, so I'll have to see that, Britt. If it's on YouTube, let me know. I'm down to give a rewatch since my taste in movies. Yeah, no, sometimes it's good to wait 10 years and rewatch something. Like sometimes you'll just be mind blown at like, wow, it's something good. That's quite something. Like it's happened before where I've given the movie enough of a break and then I rewatch and like it better. It's definitely something that can happen. Let's go to January the 3rd of 2014. Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones hit theaters. $5 million budget, gross $90.8 million worldwide. What can you say about this whole series? It was a huge cash cow. From the way they marketed the first one with the whole night vision thing and people grabbing onto each other in the theater, it was brilliant how they marketed this movie. And then, of course, you fast forward to, this is Paranormal Activity, I believe part 5 was The Marked Ones. And this is where they stopped numbering them because they numbered them up till 4. This was part 5, and they stopped numbering them at this point. This was so Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones, A New Beginning is what the unofficial title, I guess, would be. repetition. But I don't know. I would be lying to you if I said I saw this movie. I've never seen Paranormal Activity the Mark ones, nor will I ever fucking see Paranormal Activities the Mark ones. I'm good on that. I'm fucking so like I don't like any of those movies, to be honest. Literally, when I think I know about movies and come on here, I'm irrelevant. Oh, stop! You're not irrelevant. I don't know if I'm wild about it either. Maybe even a version of like Dune by Lynch, Villeneuve, and the TV series. Maybe I would or would not like the book. I don't know how Jodorowsky would. Oh, I don't know. Approach it. No, he's Grande. I enjoy the longer streams. Okay, cool. Mark Ones is my favorite in the series, and I love that ending with the gangsters shooting the witches. Oh, sure, okay. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Grande, I'm heading out. Catch y'all later. Oh, she's leaving. Oh no, Britt, we love you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. This is a long one. Series went downhill after the third one. Mark Ones had potential, but at least that time traveling thing to the first one was interesting. Okay, sure. First Paranormal Activity is so awful. I agree. I don't really like any of these movies. I'm rewatching all the Paranormal Activity movies right now, and they're all decent found footage movies. The Mark ones was good as a standalone film, but didn't do much for the overall franchise story. Okay. Did you stop at 2 or you went to 3? I watched the first 3. The last one I watched was the third one, where they're kids, and it all ends where fucking they like murder the father, and they're like that grandma's a witch and shot. Like it was fucking like I was like, wow, like this is fucking stupid. And then I think the fourth one they did like Xbox Connect, and it takes place after the second one. Like it's like the first one, then the second one's a prequel, then the third one's a prequel, then the fourth one's a sequel to the second one. Like it's fucking all over the place, that series. I don't really care for any of them. I don't think any of them are that good. If I had to pick, I'd say the third one had the best horror sequences. Like from a horror standpoint, like if I'm just watching for style, I think the third one was the best. But I don't like. I wouldn't say I like any of them. Like I would never. I don't own any. I owned the first one for a long time and sold it. Like that. And I bought it just on the hype. Like it was one of those movies I wanted to see because it was hyped, and then was let down a little bit. I've yet to watch the last one of the franchise, but the third and sixth are the best for me. Well, I would say the third of the 3 I saw, I liked the best for sure. So that is the marked ones. Made a good chunk of change, 90.8 against a budget of 5. That's nothing to scoff at. Next up here from January the 17th of 2014, this is Devil's Due. Yes, Devil's Due from, of course, Radio Silence, who are now doing the Scream movies. Crazy enough, they had also had their hand in the cookie jar of the VHS movie of 2 years prior than this. $7 million budget, gross $37 million worldwide. That's actually amazing it made that much money considering, this is a really bad movie that the studio really interfered with a lot, unfortunately. This is like a Rosemary's Baby shot on video disaster. Like this is I would say this is a disaster movie. And it's honestly all on the producers. You could tell the directors had a vision. They had their movie in mind. And unfortunately, the studio just kind of shit all over that. And it's a crime and shame why this movie was just meddled with so much. So this one, I actually like. It's a bad film. I'm not going to defend the film on here. I would say I would defend the filmmakers though, because I don't think this was their vision. This reeks of studio got involved. It really does. If you've seen this movie, you know what I mean. Like it feels like there's so many greasy fucking fingerprints all over this thing, and it really truly cripples this film from any chance that it had. Devil's Due, but 37 against 7 is still it's not a bad fucking payday. Haven't seen Next of Kin. Heard they were working on another one. I'm sure they are. I don't know. I'm so checked out of those movies. That's like Blair Witch, hyped to death. Awful movie. Slumdog Millionaire has been so hyped. I don't know if I want to watch it. I know that's digressing from horror. Oh wow, you haven't watched? You're really waiting a long time to come to the party on that one. That's 15 years ago. Slumdog Millionaire, right? 07, 08-ish? I think 08. Wow, that's a really, really long time for sure. Let's get to the next one though. These two, I made sure I'd gloss over them. The Woman in Black 2 and Rec 4 were released in the first week of January of 2015. I wrote, nobody cares. Granted, though, The Women in Black 2 made some money, but nobody fucking cares. I don't want to get into those movies. Next, coming in on January the 4th of 2016, the sequel, finally, to Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Unrelated I guess, in title only sequel. $15 million budget, grossed $110 million worldwide. That's a lot of fucking money. against a budget of 15 million. So you took 10 million off of the original budget of the original Cloverfield and you made $110 million still. That's quite a bit of money. I would say this is one of those where the name sold it because a lot of people, I remember at the time, like, how is this going to connect? And that's why I went to go see it. And then I saw the movie and I thought it was a wonderful fucking film where John Goodman had arguably the best performance of his entire career. I love John Goodman in the movie. He's just great. As a do you trust him? Do you not trust him? Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in there. She does a wonderful job. I really like 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's a great, like, underground bunker thriller horror movie with an amazing fucking soundtrack. Dan Trachtenberg, the director, he went on to do Prey, the Predator prequel this past year in 2022. I mean, I really like 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I'm glad it made $100 million. I'm glad it's a $100 million movie. Again, why January? Like, why were they so scared with Cloverfield to release these movies in any kind of, box office capacity? Because both of them made over $100 million. Like, what is the fucking fear, man? I don't know. I don't really understand that. Let's see. Next of kin is the seventh Paranormal Activity film. Okay. You guys are talking. Oh, I forgot Australian Next of Kin. I think I was done in the 80s. 10 Cloverfield Lane was another crush of mine. I really like Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I do too. I think she's beautiful. I like her. She's in a ton of horror movies. The Black Christmas remake, the Thing prequel, the Final Destination 3. She was in Sky High, which is not a horror movie, but I loved her in Sky High. She plays the heel in that. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I think she's really good talent. I think this might be her best role. I really like her whole character arc in 10 Cloverfield Lane. JP, when I saw that movie, I had no idea aliens were involved. Oh yeah, you probably were. What the fuck at the end where the aliens finally come? But I mean, a lot of people, it's funny, had the opposite thing because Cloverfield, the original, was the big monster movie in the city. And a lot of people were like, wait a minute, how does this connect to Cloverfield? They were waiting for the aliens. And you, on the other hand, were like not expecting an alien. So I think that's kind of funny how that full circle kind of came. Mary Elizabeth is top 10 actresses for me. Wow. I think she's great. She's in Death Proof too. That was the one I missed. Dude, I thought they started a different movie. Yeah, it is. It's quite out of nowhere, but I think it really actually fits that film because it answers the question you've been asking the entire movie. Is John Goodman telling the truth? Is John Goodman lying? And that's the big thing. And the answer is he's doing a little bit of both. He is telling the truth. There are alien invasion going on up there, but he's also, lying about killing that young girl and actually pretending that she was his daughter. He can't move on from the death of his daughter, so he pretends every woman that comes into contact with him takes the place. And I thought that was a really scary, kind of aspect and place to go for John Goodman's character. And I thought he really nailed it. I think that's a great, great movie. I actually think it's the best of the Cloverfield movies. It's the one that I think really just blew me away. I think John Goodman deserved a kind of a nomination or something. Yeah, I agree. I think it's John Goodman's finest hour. I really, really like John Goodman. He's scary, but he's funny at the same time. It's only a role he could have really pulled off. Yeah, great suspense. Goodman was fantastic. I agree. Yeah, completely. And I could totally see hating the ending. Maybe, in another world, if it wasn't related to Cloverfield, they wouldn't have done that. But at the same time, I think it was good for her character because in the beginning of the film, she's running away from the problems, and at the end of the film, she listened on the radio. If you could help, head to Houston. And there's a fork in the road, and she looks and I have to go to Houston. Like I'm going to help. I'm going to try to be better. Instead of running away from her problems, she's driving towards problems now. That's her whole character arc, which I thought was nice. I thought she pulled off a good job, in my opinion. He was so effective. Love the ending. Okay, so we had to love the ending. It was a surprise by the ending. Matinee's great, and Ormy Katz, and that's a great movie. Matinee is a movie that will bring you back to a time that I wish I was alive in, with like the 1950s and matinee films and stuff like that. Like that's the time it was to be a fan of fucking movies, to be a nerd like I am with movies. I mean, I yearn for shit like that. Let's move on, though, into the same year, 2016. This was January the 7th. This is The Forest. $10 million budget, grossed $39.7 million worldwide. Rewatched this for the show because I was curious about it. I had seen mixed reviews. Fairly boring movie. A woman, her sister goes missing in this forest in Japan, and it's called the Suicide Forest, where people go to kill themselves. And then she's in denial about her sister going missing. She goes into the forest and starts encountering some ghosts, and it was quite boring. I rewatched it for the show, and I regretted the 85 minutes or whatever I watched. Not bad, definitely not bad. Not Devil Inside bad, but boring, dull, completely forgettable. So I don't know. That was The Forest. It's a movie that it really, blink and you're kind of like, fuck it. Like I'm not interested in this. So that's The Forest, one I want to gloss over. Coming up next, though, from the following year, January the 13th. This is a Friday the 13th, but no Friday the 13th movie to be found here, of 2017. This is The Bye Bye Man. Yes, The Bye Bye Man came out in 2017. Holy shit. $7.4 million budget, grossed $30 million worldwide. If you do not think The Bye Bye Man is arguably the worst title in horror film history, title-wise, I mean, I don't know. That has got to be one of the shittiest titles of all time. I hate the title. And I don't know. I remember when I heard about this, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And then they show the trailer and don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it. It's basically like trying to be like a couple other movies, like urban legend movies, where, if you say the name Bye Bye Man, he'll come to kill you. Or some people at the time are calling him the poo poo pee pee man. Fucking stupid movie. I rewatched this as well for show prep, and I had a good laugh. This is one of those horror movies that gives horror movies a bad name, and it gives January horrors in particular a bad name. It's a shame that this is associated with the horror genre for me. One of the absolute worst movies on this list for me, for sure. Let's see. Yeah, The Forest was a bit of a snoozer. Good actors. Yeah, no, okay. I don't mean, it's definitely not one of my least favorites on here. It just was, I rewatched it recently for the show, and I kind of just was like, yeah, like if you ever see me like going to pick up my phone, I don't ever do that when I watch a movie. I did it a couple times. It was a little bit fucking slow for me. Let's see, maybe 70s greatest film decade. I would say 70s is my favorite too. Natalie Dormer is really good. I agree, she is good, and she plays the dual role. She plays both sisters. There's a similar thing with Matthew McConaughey, right? There might be. It's actually similar to that piece of shit Blair Witch requel they did, the Blair Witch 2016, where they went into the forest looking for Heather Donahue after 15 years, which that's a piece of shit, way worse than The Forest. The Bye Bye Man, Baby Bye Bye Bye, yeah. NSYNC, no, it's a horrible movie. Bye Bye Man is bad. I will say this: may the director rest in peace, Stacy Title. She passed away just recently from ALS, and I thought that was really sad. And from what I read when I was doing my research, she had quite a horrific death. So may she rest in peace. That's sad. She did make a movie I really like, called The Last Supper, which is a movie that I think more people should talk about. It's with Courtney B. Vance and Cameron Diaz. And actually Ron Perlman's in it as well. And it's a political movie. And you would think political, I hate politics. It's a political movie where it's kind of saying everybody's stupid. And I love when politic movies do that because too many of them get biased. It's basically these 5 liberals, and they keep having these bleeding heart Republicans over to dinner. And basically they all like kind of conspire together and keep killing the Republicans if they don't agree with their morals and ideas. And then, they become these murderous people. And then by the end, Ron Perlman comes in and kind of makes them realize what they're doing is wrong. And he says, listen, you don't have to agree with these people. And I don't know. I just thought it was a really good movie. She directed that, and I like that a lot more than The Bye Bye Man. That's a movie that I think more people should see is The Last Supper. I thought it was a really interesting political take, where it kind of made fun of both sides. And I always like that because I don't have a side. I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm kind of just neutral. But I thought that was an interesting take on it. The poo poo pee pee man. Yeah, The Bye Bye Man's a piece of shit. Jessica Biel is not in it. Jessica Biel made a very smart career decision. Like the Shawshank Redemption. What is like the Shawshank Redemption? The Bye Bye Man is not like the Shawshank Redemption. I must make sure no one knows about this evil entity by writing his name everywhere. Don't do it. Don't say it. Don't think it. Don't say it. Horrible. But still made money, $30 million. Redemption, I think, bombed at the box office because of the title. It happens. The Forest is slow, okay horror movie. Yeah, it is. It's okay. It's just okay. I've not seen Son of Trees. It's just okay. I agree with that completely. Now, next one on here is Split, and that came out that same year, 2017. Like I said, though, I don't consider that horror to me, horror elements, but you look at the demographic that film drew and the hundreds of millions of dollars that film made. It wasn't directly for a horror audience. That's a thriller movie that has horror elements in it, but the people, the demographic that drew to were the fans of thriller movies. Like I said this before, the fucking people that would go see a Scream or Texas Chainsaw Massacre are not the people who are going to see Split are not going to go see those movies. That's my whole point with Split. So it made hundreds of millions of dollars, so it was worth mentioning. But in my opinion, definitely not. One of those movies that I think is straight up horror. Grande, you're making people aware of lesser known films. And that's good. I mean, it's good. Definitely, some of these are iffy, but we're nearing the end of the list here. I promise. We have 5 more, so bear with me. Next one up, one of the highest grossing of this entire list, which is crazy because it's the 4th entry of a series. This is January the 3rd of 2018. This is Insidious: The Last Key. At a $10 million budget, grossed a whopping $168 million fucking dollars worldwide. That's wild. That's absolutely wild how much money a 4th Insidious film made in the opening week in January. And I went to go see this in the theater, and I remember it being packed. So, interesting. $168 million dollars is I mean, an amazing profit. And I know they're making the 5th one. It's coming out this year. Fun fact, company I work for, we actually provided some things and materials for the film production to do, and they had emailed us and they were saying, "Hey, we're making Insidious 5." I was like, "Holy shit, we're gonna send stuff to Insidious 5!" Like, how cool is that? I thought it was really cool when I saw it. I showed it to everybody. Nobody really cared in my office because I'm the only horror nut in there, but still, kind of something I thought was cool. But yeah, no, I like Insidious: Last Key. I like Lin Shaye. I think this is a really good movie, and I'm really kind of happy it made $168 million for a 4th entry in a franchise. It's actually is the like no right to be as good as it is, and it has no right to make the amount of money that it did, but it did make a ton of money, so it's definitely something worth mentioning here. Was Split the biologically made human animal? That's Splice from 2010. I actually really like Splice. That's Vincenzo Denali. Really good movie. James McAvoy should have been nominated for something. He was. I agree. He was great in Split. Maybe I'm thinking of another film. Yes, Splice is the one you're thinking of. Lin Shaye, MVP, totally agree. And before people say, "Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis," that was a movie that made a ton of money. Lin Shaye is not only older, and she was the lead of Insidious 4. Her movie made a lot of money too. So I think Lin Shaye deserves some of the credit there. Yeah, I would say that too. Granted, the second one is the weak point, but I even like the 3rd and 4th one. I know a lot of people don't. I think the 3rd and 4th one are fine. I remember when we went to go see the 4th one, everybody hated it except me. I thought it was really, really good. I had a nice heart. Splice, that's right, Splice. Last couple here, I promise. I'm sorry, we'll wrap this up. This is one of the longer Grande graveyards. Escape Room came out January the 2nd of 2019. Again, not a horror movie in my opinion. Made a lot of money though. January the 16th of 2020, we had The Lodge, which is a movie that did not make a lot of money, $3.1 million worldwide. Was not a giant wide release though, and it had been released in other countries in 2019. So some places can be considered 2019. I saw the film in I believe January or February of 2020, and I loved it. I thought it was a great film. Just a movie of note I really liked on here. Not a movie that made a lot of money, but a January horror release nevertheless. January the 30th of 2020, we had Gretel and Hansel, which was a mix between an A24 horror film meeting a Blumhouse movie. If they met and had a baby, this would be the fucking atrocity that they birthed. Gretel and Hansel, which had a $5 million budget and grossed 22.3. So very low risk for a decent enough reward. I mean, it made enough of a budget. I mean, a profit off its budget, $5 million, and made 22.3. That's pretty impressive considering it was a movie I had zero interest in seeing. So I don't know. I guess that's something worth of note. Let's see. You're not going too long. Lodge is awesome. Love hearing you talk about film. Thank you so much, man. We got a couple more here though. I don't like to keep people. I know some people are there. I will say this. I have so much better fans than I deserve. Or subscribers, friends, followers, whatever the fuck you want to call yourselves. Like, I know there would be people that are like, man, I'm trying to go to bed, but I don't want to be like that guy to be I'm out or whatever. Fuck. Don't ever feel the pressure. I know that this one in particular is running long, so I apologize. Is it the one with Famke Janssen and Jeremy Renner? If that's the one, that sucks. No, I don't think definitely not that one. I love The Lodge. The Lodge was, to me, that's the movie that Hereditary wishes it could be. But I get a lot of people scoff at me with that. I know Pat was with me, and we both hated Hereditary. But The Lodge is the movie where I felt that was like everything that movie should have been. And I just love that. I thought Riley Keough was brilliant, and the nearer my God to thee, and the fucking. I thought that the ending was just brilliant. I don't know. I love that movie. Fanscriber is what I be. Fans. Okay, I'll take a fanscriber. That's okay. Fanscriber. Very cool. Last three here. Wrong Turn came out. The Wrong Turn reboot came out January the 26th of 2021. Made $3 billion theatrically. However, it was very limited. I believe this was a Fathom Events thing where it had a 3-night run in the theater. That's wild. It made $3 million. I actually am curious what that Jeepers Creepers movie made. The Jeepers Creepers Reborn, what that made in the 3 nights it was in the theater. I'd actually be curious. That wasn't January, but I'd just be curious. I thought this was a piece of shit reboot. It had nothing to do with Wrong Turn to me. Like, I thought it was a complete, like, they just sold it with the name and had nothing to do with Wrong Turn. It's not the cannibal hillbillies that we all knew and love in the other Wrong Turn movies. It was just like this society, and Matthew Modine is in on it. And oh, fuck. It had all these awful millennial piece of shit characters. I hated the new Wrong Turn. I thought it was a fucking piece of shit. Funny enough, my most watched episode ever of this was the Wrong Turn retrospective. I got like 8,000 something views on it, and I still this day don't know why. Like, I'm astonished that fucking it made that much. Hereditary is cat poo. I agree. I really like Hereditary, but The Lodge was better. Hell yeah. I love it. This is why we love Neil. I believe it was a 3-night Fathom event. It was no Wrong Turn 4. Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings? Oh, Mernsey, if you have not seen my review, oh my God, that's a classic. Oh God. I think I have the first 4 on DVD. I have the slipcover of part 1, which I really like the first 2 the best. Wrong Turn 2 is my favorite. I really like Wrong Turn 2. Last 2 here, Scream 2022. Yep, Scream 2022 was last year. $24 million budget, grossed $140 million worldwide. This one, I would have to say, this one is very interesting to me because now we're going to get the trilogy, right? We have Scream 6 coming out in March, and they'll do a Scream 7, even without Nev Campbell. This is very interesting. This was January release to me for a numerous amount of reasons. Number one, Scream trilogy in 2000, I felt it was the perfect ending. Sydney, she had to live with the fear, maybe a romantic relationship with Patrick Dempsey's character. She sees the doors open. Her friends are there. If they have her back, she has to fight and not be afraid. You can't run from your demons forever. I loved her arc. I thought Scream 3 was the perfect ending to those movies. That being said, money talks, and they wanted to make a 4th one. They made the 4th one in 2011, and they had planned then to do that trilogy then. Scream 4 did not do what they expected, and people don't remember that. Scream 4 wasn't necessarily a bomb, but it didn't make the numbers they thought it was going to make. Therefore, they put the kibosh on the trilogy and then tried it again almost 10 years later with Scream 2022, 11 years later, and they played it very, very fucking safe with releasing it in January. I think to the point where I would call them pussies. I think I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend anybody that likes the fucking new Scream movie. Oh, I love the first 3. I even like the 4th one. Okay. You're a bunch of fucking pussies. To all the producers, to whoever made that call to say Scream 2022 is coming out in January, you're a bunch of pussies. I know what you're going to do. You're going to blame the pandemic. Oh, we're going to play it safe. We're going to blame. You're a bunch of pussies. This is a major horror franchise title. And because the 4th one bombed, it didn't bomb necessarily, but it didn't do the business as you wanted it to do. You've been a bunch of fucking pussies and released it in January, and it made a shit ton of money, and now you have your trilogy. We played it smart, Grande. No, you're a bunch of pussies that didn't want to pay Nev Campbell. And Nev Campbell told you to shove your pay cut up your fucking candy asses. And I'm happy she did it. Fuck you. I'm not seeing Scream 6. I'm not seeing Scream 7 and The New Blood. I'm not seeing fucking Scream 8. Ghostface Takes Manhattan. I'm not seeing Ghostface Goes to Hell. I'm not seeing any of that fucking shit. Fuck you. You're a bunch of pussies. You released a major franchise horror movie in fucking January. There's no, you look up the word pussy in the dictionary. You're going to see a picture of Garfield, and you're going to see the pictures of the producers of this fucking film. You're pussies. There's no other word to call you. bunch of pussies. And then you tried to fucking have the cojones to try to cut Nev Campbell's pay? What the fuck? I am so glad in this fucked up business that Nev Campbell flipped you the double bird and hit the fucking stone cold stunner on you and downed a fucking beer on a Netflix fucking 10-part lawyer series. Fuck you. Fuck you. Scream 2022 was my least favorite movie of last year. I think you're a bunch of pussies for fucking releasing it when you released it because you were afraid that it was going to bomb like Scream 4 because you have no fucking ideas. You have no fucking creativity. You fucking throw money at all the wrong fucking shit. Go fuck yourself. You're a bunch of pussies. And I will say this right off the bat. There might be worse movies. There might be, Uwe Boll movie here and a fucking Supernova there. This is my least favorite movie on this whole list because of everything you stand for, because of you being pussies when you released it. Go fuck yourselves. And I hope if there was any way that any of you cocksuckers would ever see this, I would fucking tell you, go fuck yourself. Sorry. That was a rant that I wasn't planning on doing, but it gets so fucking mad, man. Fuck. It's fun. Oh, geez. You know what's fun? You know what's fun? My fucking rant on Wrong Turn 4. You will die laughing. When they make that one guy, the one guy, they make him into fondue. They cut off his fucking flesh and dip it in oil. That is some fucked up shit. I found a copy of Wrong Turn 2 and 6 at the library. Dude, you're a relic. I love that you go to the fucking library still and watch movies. That's like, you're my hero for that. You're very articulate I'm a fucking English major and I don't know how to pronounce that word. How sad am I? That's why people watch you, Grande. Thank you, man. I appreciate all your support. You're a very, very kind guest. I appreciate that. From what I've heard, the Wrong Turn remake was what the writer of the original film actually wanted to do. Yes, that's true. Alan B. McElroy hated the original. And that's why he came back and wrote it. I'm sorry, Alan B. McElroy, but the first one's better. And so is fucking Halloween 4. Alan B. McElroy, stop fucking smoking pot. Or whatever the fuck you're on. In the movie Matinee, there's a fake movie. Oh, I love Matinee. It's a great movie. So the first Scream, I'm not sure if I have the motivation to watch the other films. I mean, I like the first three a lot. The fourth one's okay. He says cheesy. I would say it's a much better reboot than the new trilogy. There's nothing I hate more right now in the genre. Like, I hate all of you. I like Jenna Ortega. That's about it. But I like Jenna Ortega from Wednesday. I like Jenna Ortega from like anything else than fucking Scream. Like, oh my God, she's the character who's like, I stand by it. I like the Babadook. Oh fuck. If you had a camera on me when I watched that new Scream movie, you would have a fucking movie. Because I was pulling my hair out when they saw CGI Skeet Ulrich, and my rant on that was my top watch video of last year. My fucking just obliteration of that piece of shit. Of course, I could watch Scream sequels and change my mind. Sure. Studio execs being dumbasses, unheard of. Totally. Fucking whoever heard of that? Grinding producers of the new Scream, you're a pussy. Just kidding. Yeah, no, for real. I mean, hey, they can call me anything they want back because I called them that first. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I believe Nev Campbell would join me as well in calling them pussies. So, it kills me to do it. It does, because I really consider myself a fan. Like, I like the series. But you look at what that... Okay. I don't know if I want to go here. I don't know. Briefly. I don't want to get, because if I start going here, then I'll turn red and, steam will come out of my ears. The community now. Look at the community now. I'm not going to at anybody, but you know who you are and you know who I'm talking about if you fucking watch anybody else in the community. Daily. I'm talking daily. They will post videos about fucking Scream. Oh, Kirby's coming back, motherfuckers. Oh, Kirby, she fucking died. Oh, no, she didn't, because we have money and we're a bunch of fucking fans checking each other off in the semicircle. Oh, geez. Oh, I don't know if I can go there. I don't know. All I'm going to say is you're a bunch of shameless. That's all you do. It's all you talk about. Get some variety. That's just advice. Ghostface takes Manhattan. It wouldn't be as good as the Muppets take Manhattan or Jason takes Manhattan. I'm spitting. It's the truth. It's the truth. You're a bunch of pussies. You know you are. You know, if I was the producer, I would be like, listen, I'm a pussy. I'm sorry. I was scared that we were going to flop. That's what I would say if I was a producer. But I'm not. I'm a realist. I would have released the movie in fucking July when it should have been released. You really want balls? You want to show me a balls? Go up the head-to-head with Michael Myers. Go up the head-to-head with Corey. Go up the head-to-head with him. Corey Cunningham. If you beat Corey Cunningham at the fucking box office and you can do your trilogy, go ahead. Just wait when you see Jenna's salary demand for Scream 7. She's worth it, though. She's a great talent. That's somebody who's going to be a fucking megastar. She's 20 years old and she's already a megastar. She's going to be huge. That's the next big thing is Jenna Ortega. And the ironic thing is she's like 5'0", but she's the next big actress in Hollywood. You can tell. You can absolutely tell she's the next big thing. But here's the thing. These Scream movies, they're just fucking awful. Like these new ones, Ghostface Live, fucking Ghostface X and fucking Ghostface versus Jason. Get the fuck out of here. You can't. No, it's just awful. What the fuck? Why would you try to? Hey, Nev, we're gonna try to cut your pay. Are you okay with that? Of course, he's not fucking okay with that. That'd be like telling fucking Superman, yeah, man, we don't need you, Superman. We're gonna just fucking go with Lex this time. What? Nate's here, Nate. Oh man, you dropped it at a hell of a time. Tell us how you really feel about Scream. I love the Scream franchise, but this last one, man, it pissed me off so bad in every way. It hit every button that one has to hit. You even like outed the Babadook, man. Scream is such a box franchise. Sending a Scream 20. Hey man, nothing like a fucking late Christmas gift, my friend. I'd appreciate that. Halloween 4 hiss. Hey man, you want to hear some hissing? I don't know. Hey Nate. Grande, you need to use your inside voice. Well, I am inside, but I don't know. When I move out, which is going to be soon, I don't know. I feel bad for whoever my fucking neighbor is. I feel really bad because oh man, I go crazy sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes. Okay, you guys were talking. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I saw Babadook at a horror marathon. I think I fell asleep. That's a good thing you fell asleep. But it's true. You're all in the fucking semicircle jacking each other off. All of you. Oh, Scream 6 update. What? God damn it. Get a hobby. Go for a jog. Anything. Get a hobby. Get a life. Get on your knees and beg your mother's forgiveness. I'm sorry, man. What are you talking about? No, never. Did you see The Nightingale? Oh, I love The Nightingale. I know that wasn't directed at me, though. I apologize. Okay, people talking. Corey. Let's go, Corey. Are you talking about Corey Cunningham? Ghostface versus Chucky. Highly recommend it. Best film I've watched in 2022. Okay, cool. Which brings us to our last film. Sorry about that. I tend to lose my mind. We all go a little mad sometimes. The film that goes out today. I will share a release date with this movie. Fun enough. Worldwide. Today, Megan dropped in theaters worldwide. Wow. We have reached full circle from 1996 to modern day. I will say this. I think that Megan is going to be a hit. I've already heard it's getting decent reviews from critics, which I don't know if I believe that because it looks rather stupid. But it's going to make its money. Like I said, nothing else is against it. Avatar's been out for a few weeks. Whale's been out a few weeks. Babylon's been out a few weeks. There's nothing to really stop it from making money. So I think Megan's going to make its money. And for James Wan being the producer, I'm happy about that. For Blumhouse, I don't really like him. But I do, prediction-wise, I think Megan's going to make money. I'll see it eventually. That's going to be one I wait to watch for free, though. I'm not going to the theater. Unless it's a $5 theater, I'm good on that. Let's see. Trailer reaction videos 30 seconds after it's released. Oh my God, yes, they're shameless. No, I don't know if you want to. If I go down that road, I'm gonna just hurt people's feelings, and I don't want to do that. But at the same time, it's funny. Your thoughts and theories on Scream 6 Go, Grande. Oh my God, dude, I would rather stab myself with pins than talk about my theory of Scream. I don't give a fuck. Yes, I am. Some of the people like and post what's popular for the views, maybe. Here's the thing. And I'll say this. I don't mean, and I know people will think sour grapes. I mean, no sour grapes. If people can talk about the same shit every day of their fucking lives to get views, subscribers, and make this a side hustle like some people do. Listen, man, some people look at YouTube as a side hustle. They want to take your fucking money with the Patreon. They want to take your fucking money with the super chats. They want to take your fucking money. It's the truth. A lot of them do it. And listen, no ill will if they want it and make it an option and you do it. no ill will towards them. I'm not trying to say ill will towards them at all. And I'm not trying to say, oh, are you jealous because they're more popular, they have more subscribers? Not at all. No, not at all. I do this for me. This is a selfish fucking project for myself. I do it for the passion of horror movies because I love horror movies. I'm not looking to granted, I did a t-shirt. I made a t-shirt that I sold. That was fun. That was something, but it wasn't. I would never charge someone for me to go and rant about a fucking movie. Like I don't see the point of that. I don't. But you're right. It is. People do it because that's a franchise movie. People are talking about that. I could come on here week in and week out. Think about what we did the last couple of weeks, right? I had Mateo on last week. We did 3 Giallos, Sleepless, The House of Laughing Windows, New York Ripper. Odds are those people that are talking about Scream 6 every day, they're not going to watch that. They don't know what the House of the Laughing Window is. They don't know what the New York Ripper is. They might know what Sleepless is because of Dario Argento, but I doubt they know that either. That's their demographic is only the mainstream stuff. Whereas here, we're going to go all over the world. We're going to be, last week we were in Italy. A week from now, we might be in Japan. We might be in America. We might be here or there. I like to jump all over. I like to do different time eras because it's what I love to talk about. So these people, yeah, they do. They absolutely do it for the views, and they do it for the side hustle of the fucking money because they know that if they continue to talk about something that's popular, it's going to have a snowball effect, and that's what happens. Okay, you guys are talking. Friday the 13th is going to be interesting. Oh, yeah. Well, I might just have Deep Fried Awesomeness on as a guest next week. At least 10 times the length of the trailer. Yeah, they tell you, I think it's going to be good. I'm excited. And shut the fuck up. I'm going to check out Megan on Saturday. I got 3 free tickets a week, so why not? Hell yeah, why not? Free as could be. That's cool. You guys talking about oh wow. I don't know. Scream 5 at least has a budget. At least they could afford the floor, right? But I hate both of them. Scream 5 of the last 5 years is my least. I hated that with a passion. The writer Megan wrote Malignant, so I'll give it a watch soon. Wow. Patrick of okay, you guys are still talking. Stay selfish, my brother. I try. I don't know. I don't mind. Like I said, people are willing to pay. That's good, but it's at the same time, I don't know. I don't see it as that. If I ever became successful enough, YouTube would throw the money my way. I wouldn't have a problem taking YouTube's money because I know they're a fucking global conglomerate. They're gonna make a ton of fucking money. Taking money from you guys, though, I don't see. Unless it's for a shirt or something, which I got because at least you got something back. I don't know. At least that's how I did. At least how I see it. At least I don't know. I know what the New York Ripper is. Well, you're a diehard horror fan. I mean, the people that are fucking, mainstreams. Great show, Grande. You should do this idea for movies that come out every month. Thank you so much. We're wrapping up. That was the last one. Some Nate and Grande action sounds good to me. Hell yeah. We're going to be recording on Friday next week, Friday 13th next week. So no Thursday. Don't panic. We're going to do Friday 13th because Nate works Thursday nights, so we couldn't do it any other day. But we are going to record a live fan commentary next Friday 13th. Looking forward to that. Patrick, okay, you guys still talking about the library. Do you do what you love, my man? Thank you, Mernsy. I appreciate that. I try. I don't know. That's just me, though. And like I said, let me definitely, I don't mean any ill will if someone, watches this later on and does, take super chats, Patreon, whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with it if people are willing to pay it. I just don't like it for myself. I wouldn't do it. That's all I'm saying. If you do it, that's fine. I think the talking about Scream every day, that I think is a problem. But again, whatever makes you guys happy as well. Do what you love. I agree, Mernsy, wholeheartedly 110%. So that was the January horror list, 40 movies, no regrets. Quickly, if I had to pick a favorite on here, Cloverfield, Final Destination 2, From Dusk Till Dawn. Those are probably my top 3. Those would be my top 3. And the worst would be, I would say, Scream 2022, Alone in the Dark, Supernova. Yeah, those would be my 3 worst. So those are all of those. But yeah, so let's see. January 1st, John and I will be covering The Strangers. Yes, I'll be on Patrick's channel, Strangers Retrospective, Strangers 1 and 2 on January the 15th. I'll be sure to promote that closer to the date. Miss Carter say bye, everybody. Long list, Grande, but you keep a great praise plus bonus rant. Thank you, Mateo. Mateo, you were here from the beginning. I appreciate that. Okay, Grande, LLAP, rock on, my friend. Nanu, Nanu. Good night, Miss C. Good night, Neon Black. See you next time in the graveyard. Absolutely. We'll catch you next week, everyone. Have a safe, happy, healthy weekend, and we will catch you next time only on the graveyard. Too sweet peace. Good night, everybody.